I was supposed to have a apartment showing at 6, and I went to go check. I had my printer had run out of ink, right, and I needed to print off some papers for this kind of stuff. So I ran to Walmart, bought a new ink cartridge, came back home, installed all that, went to printed the stuff off. Then I went and checked the app, and there was no listing at all for today. And I was like, okay. And so I messaged the owner, and I was like, so like, do they cancel? Yeah. Okay, thanks. I'm like, you couldn't tell me when this happened? I mean, like, I get it, you get busy and stuff like that, but it's just like, yeah, it was kind of funny.
Hey, Jesse, that might be a short in your mic or something, man.
Oh, are you guys hearing that?
No. It wasn't it's like it's cutting out or something and making kind of a noise.
Let me unplug it, because we were having these problems during the day too.
Well, you got some good scatting there, Diesel. Some good scatting. Do. Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, I'm slow, man. I'm half dead. So.
Oh well, that's you know, maybe that means you only have to pay half your taxes.
Do what?
Maybe it means you only have to pay half your taxes then.
No, it'll be all of them dead or, you know, regardless.
Yeah, I know. Everybody wants to identify stuff, and it's like, I want to identify as the thing that doesn't have to pay taxes.
Yeah. Yeah, taxation is theft.
Well, we went to, the Revolutionary War for 3% tax, and 60% tax later. Here we are.
Yeah, the income tax was only put in around, I think it was 1912.
It was close to World War I, yeah. So. Oh, well, did you have a nice day? Because I guess, Common Nerd's getting his mic fixed. Tell me about your day.
Oh, I've been up kind of early. I've been getting up kind of early and had a bunch of stuff doing, and, went out and jogged a couple of miles and got back and just kind of running out of juice. I've been going to bed relatively early, just winding down.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Nerd's mic is down.
Yep. Yeah, you need to restart. Oh, there we
go. Uh-oh.
Is that his signal for be interesting and entertaining?
Yeah. He just throws up signals, and he can just throw up stuff, and we can translate whatever he's doing with his hands.
Yeah, right. Well, I like your new avatar. So.
Oh, that is 100% iron oxide steel. He sent me a bunch for our space jockey show on Sunday, and this one looks kind of like me, but with some Colonial Marines outfit on, so it's pretty cool. I like it. He's good at that. He's good at art.
Oh, it's a good talent. So, yeah.
He's good at art, editing, deep fake stuff. Real good at that, making intros, all kinds of stuff. He's got a skill for it. Whereas I can. The only thing I know is like MS Paint, and I know it poorly, so I can't do Photoshop. It's too many buttons, and it's way past the critical point for me to learn how to do that. It's not happening ever. I'm
I want
not.
an in-person tutor for that. So
Do it.
I want to find an in-person tutor. So like I've tried
I
learning
don't.
on YouTube and stuff, and it's like, no, I need somebody to physically like move my hand to the right button.
I have no patience for it. I have no patience to learn a whole bunch of. I don't have.
Yeah,
I'm too old, and I just can't. I burn out too much in school, and just thought of having to go back and learn a bunch of stuff or do a whole bunch of stuff. Just like I don't know, it infuriates me at times.
Oh yeah, I think as you get older, you just lose a lot of patience that you've built up over the years, because you have some level of expectation at some point where it's like it shouldn't take this long.
Well, I've already learned about all that I'm gonna put forth the effort to learn. So it's like, I mean, even if it's something that I'm relatively interested in, I'm just like, no, not gonna do it. Like this video photo editing, not gonna happen. I'm just, nope.
Oh well, that's nice in a way because it means like you're as interesting as you're going to be, and you can handle everybody else. So
All right, are we still popping?
Now you're going.
I don't
Yeah,
hear
but
any.
No
So-
popping anymore? Okay, good. Maybe that's all I just needed to do to fix the popping too, is just pull the cord out and plug it back in. Sometimes you just got to pull it out and shove it back in. That's just how things go sometimes.
I was gonna say, where's the IT meme for that?
Right. Oh yeah, turn it off and turn it back on. Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again? Yeah, dumbass. That's the first thing I tried doing. That's why I'm calling you. Okay. Fuck. I would be on the phone with an Indian guy if I didn't have to be. Holy
Dude,
shit,
you'd be surprised how many people don't. Man, I had a lady one time. She was like, this is 20 years ago. She was like, I'm like good with PCs, computers and stuff. So she was like, something about her CD-ROM wouldn't work. And she brought her computer up to me, the tower, and I took it back and I was like, okay, well, I hooked everything up, plugged it in, whatnot, turned it on, hit the eject button on the DVD-ROM, and like this giant like pile of dust, like a dust bunny ball, just came out with it. And I'm like, well, that might have something to do with it. I was like, what have you left this thing in, like, I don't know, like dusty shag carpet for the last 30 years? It was just the inside of it, man, was like, when Indiana Jones is like blowing off dust and stuff like that, that's what it was like. That was like the inside of this PC.
Wow.
Dirty. Oh.
Boys and girls.
Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Sorry about the technical difficulties. If it wasn't a clusterfuck, there probably wouldn't be a proper show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what. So how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to Winding Down Wednesdays. You know, that typical yada, yada, yada rant that I do and all that kind of fun stuff. As you can tell, we have a very special guest tonight. Again, for the second time having her on. I think this is the first time on the new channel, though. Our dear sweet writer, C.S. Johnson, aka CJ, is here to talk about a new comic book. She's got number 2 going on out there of our Dizchord. She's officially got that one going. So we're going to talk about that. She's got a new campaign out there on Kickstarter and fundmycomic.com that we're going to check out. Links are in the description on Rumble, by the way. And of course, we've got our dear sweet co-host Diesel with his fancy schnazzy new avatar. How you doing today, buddy? How you doing today?
Oh, I'm mildly wiped out. No, I'm kind of.
Well, then it should be very easy for me to convince you to spend money on myself, right? So.
Well,
oh, got a baby.
Yeah. Don't have a lot to spend, so.
Is that the new one?
Yes, this is the latest one. This is the latest one to come out. There's another one cooking.
Oh, nice. I remember the last one. I think that your wife had just had the baby the last time I was on one of your shows. So
okay, then that might have been. Maybe was that earlier this year? I don't remember. When. How long has it been since your first book? Well, yeah. By the way, how the hell you doing, CJ? What's going on? How's everything going? How long ago has it been since the first Dizchord? Has it been that long?
It's been a little bit longer than anticipated, just because edits and all that. So so last year I kicked it off in April, I think. and now it's August of this year.
There you go.
I
Well,
don't think it's been- I don't think I've been that long since.
no, it hadn't been that long. No, it definitely hadn't been that long. No, because that's freaking cool. That's freaking cool. Yeah, no. The I was supposed to go to an appointment, and so my wife's got to go roll up the windows on the car, and because I was supposed to have to go do that appointment earlier. Like I said, that was the whole reason I was supposed to be. We started the show a little late, and then we didn't end up having to worry about it. We didn't end up having to worry, or I ended up not having to go or whatever. So like now I'm just now she got to go back out there because it's literally been so. 2 of my children came in on storms, and and both of them's birthday are this week. The oldest was yesterday's, and then Bubbles is tomorrow. And it literally started raining like last week, like on Friday, and it's not going to stop until like next week or something crazy like that. So it's absolutely nuts. So yeah, it's pretty
children.
Right. Wow. Yeah. She's an aircraft mechanic's son. It's kind of hard not to sometimes. So it's like we try to be better about it because like the toddler is a sponge at this point. You know what I mean? And so this one will be before long as well. So yeah, we're trying. The wife and I have been trying to cut back on the swearing a bit to try to avoid that kind of stuff because otherwise, boop. Oh yeah, one fun word you get to say it and say at daycare. Yeah. Oh, holy shit. Yeah. But yeah, boys and girls, there's a lot of crazy things going on out there in the news. We've also got a lot of other stuff going on. Obviously, the gaming world imploded this week. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's having meltdowns, whether it be Star Wars Outlaws or whether it be our dear sweet I'm having a brain for Concord, who is getting
No, I need the key to the car.
Oh,
Like Gracie was sick.
oh, that's not well.
You know what? My
Okay.
husband did the same thing to me the other night.
That's normal.
Yes.
Oh, this is well, yeah. There you go. There you go.
Promise, it's not this chaotic.
Not normally, no. That's very true, especially on Wednesday nights. But no, yeah, that's it. The funny part about that is it's like you have 2 different things happening right now. You have Ubisoft's stock taking a tank right now because the expectations for the Star Wars game are garbage. And of course, Assassin's Creed Shadow is going to be worse. And then at the same time, it's like we're literally watching like woke collapse in real time. And it's hilarious because like Sony just yanks things. Other things are failing miserably. Ubisoft could not even be a company next year. And then Rings of Power. Yeah, Rings of Power. Yeah. Rings of Power has lost half its audience. And then we've got really great comic books like yours. And then we get to promote and talk about too, while making fun of the establishment burning themselves down to the ground. It's great.
May I go on a Ubisoft rant for just a second?
Sure. You want to just go ahead?
Go ahead.
CJ, do you have a time crunch tonight?
No.
Are you on a time limit? Okay, cool. Well, let's just bring up the Ubisoft stuff real quick. And while Diesel goes on his rant, by all means, have at it, Diesel.
The first Far Cry game is fantastic, which Ubisoft didn't really have anything to do with. That was the Crytek engine, and I forget who did it. It's the same guys that did Crysis, but I got Far Cry 2, and it was garbage. The game was trash. It was like you go from a tropical island, and then in the Pacific, and then you go to like some place in a country in Africa. It was just awful. Anyway, so I saw Far Cry 3 was on an island again, and I'm like, okay. So I bought it on Steam, and you had to install this Ubisoft launcher, which never worked. And immediately, every single time I would try to connect, it would immediately say couldn't connect. I mean, it wouldn't even get time to connect to whatever. It would just immediately do that. So I was just like angry. So I bought a physical copy of the game so I could just install it on my computer, and then install the piece of crap Ubisoft launcher again, man. And I couldn't do anything with it. So it's like, I don't care anything after that game, and that game is years ago. That company can go straight to hell for that.
Hell yeah. All right. I forgot to say hi to you guys out in the chat, and we have a super chat to get to as well. Madhouse Retro was here way earlier, and then he took a nap. That's always good. See, now he's awake. Good to see you, Madhouse Retro Gaming. Always good to see you, my friend. Madhouse Retro over on Rumble as well. John Washburn, bowler hats in the chat. Thank you, John. Always good to see you. Another one of our fine channel members, Shadow Warden 99, one of our fine channel subscribers over on Rumble. Hail, gay boys. Animation Overload says, hail, I'll be lurking for a bit. Sounds good, my friend. Sounds good. Here we go. Whoops, forgot to share. Oh, thank you, John. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Poppity pop. Hopefully that all's fixed now. But Little Peen looks for $199. $199. $199. $199. $199. Hold on. Let me get this right because I got to do all kinds of different things now with the way I do this from during the day. Yeah, that's not the right number. There we go. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, hey, everyone. Hope you're having a great night. Great at night. Yes, a great at night. I've always loved having a great at night. But yes, no, a great night. Yes, I think we are. We're getting to hang out with some awesome folks, chat about our comics, and laugh at the entire legacy and all of the legacy institutions literally burning themselves out of the ground. Like I've got a cute baby in my lap. Like I don't think you get much better than that. If it gets any better than this, I might explode. I mean, that's just exactly what it's coming down to. So good to see you, nephew. Good to see you, Lux. Good to see you. Glad you made it in, buddy. Glad you made it in. Thank you very, very, very much, my friend. Appreciate that. You are the grease between our gears, keeping this machine running. Thank you, my friend. But yeah, we're gonna laugh at Ubisoft for a minute, and then we're gonna jump into CJ's comic because I've already got that pulled up in the background too. Before she even sent me the link, I was ahead of the game. I actually prepared for this show for once. It's kind of crazy to think about. But this is just straight from Forbes, and I figured, if we're gonna talk about stock prices and stuff like that, I mean, we might as well talk about, Forbes. Why not go straight to the horse's mouth? Tepid Star Wars Outlaws reception sinks Ubisoft stock. There's the picture. Now it goes better. So literally the game officially released on August 30th, which is when a sharp decline started. Part of a larger overall decline of 43% this past year. Star Wars Outlaws may have reviewed okay enough, but it may not have sold enough. If Ubisoft's recent stock decline is any indication, Ubisoft shares are now down 13.5% in the wake of the launch of Star Wars Outlaws, which analysts say has failed to meet sales targets, which is a really nice way of saying we're going to lose money on this game. And yeah, their stock is in the toilet now because of it. And the worst part about this is they were already on borrowed time. Like they have been in the red for the past few years. And Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows is what they were banking on to put them back in the green, or I guess put them back in the black. And yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, Jimbone. Because this game, like I think they said so. One of the other estimates that I read was the guys expected it to basically sell like 7.5 million copies is what they expected. That has now been reduced down to 5 million. So, and I still think it's going to end up coming in under that by a long shot as well. And it's because of all of the rest of this, like.
Yes. Well, I don't think coming in right after the Alkalite was canceled did them any favors. Well, and that was a big product. That was a big problem of it. And then you've also got the game was extremely buggy when it first came out. They had to patch it 2 days in. The patch caused anybody who bought it for early access, you lost all of your save files. So however many hours you'd put in, because you had to spend anywhere from 110 or wait, I think it was $100 to $130 in order to get the early access. The packages were like 110 and like 129 or something like that. Right. So you spent $100 to $130. You had early access to this game. Not only is it buggy and glitchy when you first get it, now the patch that they've given you
is going to corrupt your old save file, and you won't be able to continue any farther in the game. So it's hilarious.
But
And
the important question is,
yes.
Okay, what are their DEI principles at Ubisoft?
And that's exactly the thing. That's what does this, right? That's exactly what this does. They concentrate on the message, and they fail to concentrate on gameplay, mechanics, storyline, like any of this kind of stuff.
Well, nobody wants to pay for actual excellence, so I kind of understand it. I understand it, I don't like it.
No, they really don't. And it's just, and this is the other thing too. It also goes on too. There's also reports that Ubisoft's would-be large-scale PvP shooter X Defiant is also bleeding players. Ubisoft's record of 1 million uniques and 8 million totals in the first week, down to a reported 20,000 concurrent players on all platforms, as barely anyone has stuck around. And that's funny. They're saying 20,000 is pathetic, and fucking what? Concord hit like 693 like peak concurrent players. That just shows you how much of a bomb that is. But I thought it was funny as all hell, because like I said, their stock's taking a tank for it. They're gonna lose. I mean, that's what I was trying. That was what I was alluding to earlier. Was that like literally, Ubisoft may not exist as a company in the form it's in next year, because they're gonna have 2 back-to-back flops when they were already bleeding money. Because Assassin's Creed Shadows, it might do better than Outlaws, but the idea that something called Assassin's Creed, a franchise that's been around for like literally a decade, is going to outsell a Star Wars game is mind-boggling to me. And so I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to end up doing even worse than Star Wars Outlaws because of all of the controversy. And if that's the case, like, this company could be over and go woke, go broke.
Well, that's part of it. Like, I was actually trying to put my thoughts into like why woke storytelling doesn't work. Because I mean, ultimately, video games are a form of the literary journey in
Absolutely.
And I mean, like, but you already know that, like, if there's no such thing as good and evil, then you're really just picking one team over the other. And the hero, the quote hero, is not really a real hero. And the villain is the hero in his own story. And you know that whoever's the bigger oppressor has to be the worst person. So it's kind of like you already know the ending, and it's not even that fun figuring it out.
No, and I think that's a good point, and especially with you coming at it from a literary perspective, somebody who writes and has produced a lot of books and stuff like that. And wasn't the book we used for the thumbnail last time? Wasn't that your like on how to write books? Wasn't that one? Yeah. Okay. And so it's like, so you've like literally written the book on writing books.
One of them.
And or at least one of them. But it's like, it's just, and that's, you see that because that's what, like, that's the other thing too. And I think that's why you're even seeing like a lot of the activists like in the media have to go, look, it's like, we're all for the agenda, but your story sucks, man. Like, you can tell an agenda story well. Fern Gully did it. Captain Planet did it. Those are the examples I always go to,
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure you can give like a million other examples, but it's like, I mean, they concentrate too much on the message. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, like communists used to write good art. I was even arguing with Iron Oxide on the last podcast I was on with Diesel about how it's very well written nihilism, and it's perfectly gobbledygook when you kind of sort it all out. So, but people don't notice because they're caught up in how, the effects are and the good acting and the nice, memes and everything that kind of come out of it.
Oh,
so you don't realize how terribly written it is because it's so good.
Yeah, it looks so pretty. And I think that's the problem with a lot of this stuff now is it's it doesn't, it even if it looks pretty, which a lot of it hasn't. I mean, Rings of Power comes to mind, season 1, with like how abysmally bad a lot of the costumes and stuff looked, you know, and they're honestly not that much better this season either. Like some of the armor looks really weird. Like the helmets are like from the trailers and the previews and stuff I've seen for like the later episodes, like the helmets look like 2 sizes too big for like like there's this gap like inside, like in between, like it's like if my hat was sitting like here, you know, and I've got like this giant gap in beneath it. I'm like, it's just yeah.
Well, like the nihilist stuff of the nihilist kind of mindset today goes deeper than that, because it's like I said, there are no heroes, and the hero anyway isn't going to be good enough, and the villain is the hero in its own mind, and then nobody should want to be a hero, and the hero shouldn't be thanked for his own work, and there's no point in trying, and ultimately nothing matters. So
Right.
reaching down into the kind of like the cultural aspect of it, because art is part of culture, and art both reflects culture and, you know, influences it. So
yeah. And I mean, and that's why I got out of politics and dove into the culture side of things, as far as ranting and raving and making videos and stuff like that, because the culture is what's got to be fixed before anything else can ever truly be reestablished as anything good or proper in the world. And that's why you got it. Cause like there was we do our Bible study on Sundays, and we did the story of Josiah, like a couple of weeks ago. And it's really funny because Josiah comes in and he's the government, right? He's king. And so he comes in and he tears down all the high places. He burns everything. I mean, I'm reading the story and I'm like, homeboy, like went John Wick style to like all of these pagans. Like he even like sacrificed the pagans on like their own altar. Like it was like fucking hardcore shit. Right.
Where's that movie, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the movie we need. I'm like, John Woo, get on this shit, man. The story of Josiah would be sick. But the problem is it's literally, as soon as he's dead, everything goes right back to the way it was, and even worse, right. You know, because the government can't solve a cultural problem. You know, it can't. No matter how we try to dictate morality and all of that kind of stuff from a top-down situation, it won't work. And that's why they're failing too, because they're trying to dictate their morality in a top-down fashion using the culture, and they do it obviously with politics as well. But like they're trying to force their religion, their morality down on people. And it's failing miserably. I mean, so I think Stuttering Craig said if 2014 isn't the year that woke goes to die, I don't think anything will ever change, because they've lost billions, you know, just in the last year.
Yeah, on some level, I don't think they even care that they've lost the money. So they're becoming like money martyrs for their faith in their own way.
Yeah. And they definitely have no problem sacrificing any amount of money on their altar to their agenda and all of that kind of stuff. But the problem is 2 + 2 still equals 4. And eventually you do run out of other people's money, because if you're not making a profit, you can only get so many government handouts from the Norwegian Film Institute. You know, that was for Dustborn. That's literally, Dustborn is like a woke simulator. Like you can literally cancel people in the game. Like it's part of your powers. Like you can do cancel culture in the game, and like all of this other kind of crazy ass shit. And it's so funny because it literally was all government funded. The studio that got the grant has never produced a financially successful game. And the Norwegian government has literally gave them money like 4 times in the last couple of years to continue developing this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so maddening. It's absolutely so maddening whatsoever. There was a time I wanted to work for this company when I was in high school. Yeah. Talking about Ubisoft. Yeah. Yeah. And now they're go woke, go broke. I mean, I don't know. Zex is shopping and lurking. I just don't know. It's nuts to think about how insane this has all been. So, but yeah, let's see what else we got over here though. Cause that's just absolutely hilarious with Ubisoft. And like I said, with the amount of money they're going to lose, I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep this going or not. It should be interesting to see.
Unfortunately, I think the whole, too big to fail. I think that kind of precedence it was like a test run. So,
Oh, you thinking like get more like government handouts for some of these major corporations and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, can't you see, Disney came out of the propaganda era for the CIA. I mean, for the FBI. It would be kind of ironic in a poetic sort of way. I mean, well, it's like poetry, it rhymes, right? But they end up being funded by it.
If we see like a too big to fail situation, that would be hilarious to watch Disney try to go for government handouts. The only thing with Disney though is Disney's not going to get to that point now because of what they're trying to do with the pivot, right? They're trying to pivot right now, and it's not going to work in Star Wars. Star Wars is dead, but what they're trying to pivot in Marvel, and they're trying to pivot in like Pixar and in their animation and stuff like that. The live actions, I don't know why they're going to keep trying those, but they are. Even though those are probably going to both flop this year. So we might actually see might see an end to the live action remakes from Disney, because the next two of them are probably going to flop pretty hard, because Mufasa is going up against Sonic 3, which is going to end up doing well. And then War of Rohirrim is all coming out around that exact same time as the Mufasa live action movie. Not even live action movie. I don't even know why they call it live action, but whatever that weird gobbledygook CGI trying to make it look real thing is that they've got going. And then the Snow White one, and they already know that's gonna flop hard.
Well, I think they're banking on Moana. So
yeah, that one's probably gonna be a winner. And that's the other thing, because that's the other thing about that. That's where you see that pivot right now. They're all going with sure things, right? Which is why they're making a Toy Story, 17 now, or some crazy ass shit like that. I think it's like number 5 or 6 at this point. And then you've got Frozen 3, and basically Bob Iger already said Frozen 4 is in the works as well. You know what I mean? Because they saw what happened with Inside Out too. Right? Gangbusters, that movie made $1 billion. I was completely wrong. I thought Disney had burned their family-friendly image way more than what they actually have, because everybody showed up gangbusters to freaking Inside Out too.
I don't think it had a lot of competition for what it's worth either. That does make a difference.
Yeah, that's true. There wasn't a lot. Go ahead.
Well, it's the end of summer for kids. They're going back to school. Like, oh, let's go to the movies and have a party. That's part of the reason I think the Super Mario Brothers movie did so well. So
yeah,
it was like right at that perfect time where there was a 3-day weekend. Parents were taking their kids out, and I mean, if you have kids, that doubles or triples your bill right there.
Oh yeah. No, it's yeah. I think the last time. What did we go see? There was something I took the kids to, and I can't remember what it was now, but it was Ghostbusters. It was the Afterlife or Frozen. The new one, Frozen Empire. We took the kids to go see that one. We didn't take the toddler, obviously. But yeah, I mean, even just for me, my wife, and my oldest, because he's like, he actually just turned 16 yesterday. He's officially 16 now. Holy God, I have a 16-year-old. And a baby. It's kind of wild. I have a very wide variety here. Anyway, sorry, off the tangent. But anyway, like when him and her and we all go, because he'll go see the, the more rated R movies. Like I took him to Deadpool and Wolverine and that kind of stuff. It's $100. And that's it, just guaranteed. It's $100 to go to the movies, and that's a lot. And it's hard. It's insane how expensive that got. So yeah, I mean, just the ticket prices alone nowadays have really drastically driven up a lot of these box office prices and stuff like that too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure if you adjust for inflation, it's not actually that different. It's actually probably still a shrinking sort of audience pool, just because so many people can't afford to go every week like they used to, or
yeah. I think what's his face? Quentin Tarantino said it really well. It was one of the clips from, I think, like his most recent Joe Rogan interview or whatever. And what he said is cinema has always been a working man's form of entertainment. The rich folks, they go to the opera, they go to the orchestra, they go do those kind of things. Whereas, movies used to be, like I said, there was people that went every weekend. Didn't matter what was playing. You went every weekend. That was just your thing. There was for a lot of years, that was me and my grandma's routine on Sundays. We went and saw a movie almost every Sunday, for a lot of times. But now, because it's gotten so expensive, that's not the case anymore. And like a lot of movies that people would have probably given a shot, now they're not going to bother, because I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be good or not. I'm going to spend $100 going to see something that might be that I only think might be okay. Right. You're not going to do it. Everybody's going for sure things now or nothing at all. And that's damaging to the whole industry overall. It really is. So,
yeah. So far, their live actions have at least broken even. I don't think that's true of the Little Mermaid, though.
Yeah, there's a really good argument to be made that one lost money. It's a pretty easy argument to be made on that one too, because I think that was another one of them $200 million situations. And yeah, it didn't. I guess you
take it collectively, maybe they broke it even. So,
collectively for sure.
The thing is with it too, though, is like you don't have to hire anybody for the script. Okay, and I actually found this out with Moana, because I actually sent in a script treatment saying, "Here, hire me to work on the script." It's being filmed down here in Georgia, so I'm like,
oh, nice,
right above it. And I said I could come in, I could bring my kids. I'm your audience. You want to get me, someone like me in the so. But yeah, they don't change the script hardly at all. And I suggested, a couple of good changes here and there that I thought would make it more well-rounded. And that's something that you can do. Like they did that with Beauty and the Beast, where they had her father not be like this goofy guy so much. They had him be like this like somber kind of widower that had just like this cute little like whimsy about him, And but they don't need any writers, and it's they just need people to go there to the sets and work. And then of course they have Dwayne Johnson coming in, and they've got kind of like an unknown actress in the lead, so they don't have to pay her as much, and it's just, it'll probably make money just because it didn't cost as much, I bet,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the CGI is terrible, so.
That's true too. And that's always something, if they don't give them the time, like you said, they're not really, they don't plan on changing the script much. So that should make it easier, because that should make it that should give the CGI guys more time, because if the CGI is bad on that movie, nobody's going to want to go see it. Like, if they don't do a good job.
I will say, like, for what it's worth, like, I know people who work with him specifically, but Dwayne Johnson is always pretty good about watching out for the people that he works with. So I expect it to have a higher quality just because of that.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear, for all the jokes about the fact that we can make about The Rock saying that he's always The Rock in every movie. It's like, it's one of those things that's a really good thing to hear. And I mean, I could kind of see that. I can see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, he's a family man at heart, I think. And that's, something that just kind of, you can, like he's coming up with that Santa movie too and stuff. So I know even if he doesn't have like a John Wick or a Matrix kind of thing like Keanu Reeves, he has a good like a family movie kind of appeal to people.
Yeah, that's true. He's not offensive, which is the funny part about that, is that's all you really kind of need these days, is just don't be an asshole. Don't be offensive. Don't be an asshole. And we won't mind your stuff, and we'll watch your stuff. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science at all.
Yes.
Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah, The Little Mermaid brought in over 700 million. So I'm guessing that it just broke even, but it's harder to say because they're not totally upfront with the budgets. And and that's why we like them filming things in England, in the United Kingdom, because then we get access to all of their tax records, because all of that becomes public information. Because that's the way, if you want those tax breaks, all of this stuff has to be filed. And over in the United Kingdom, it all becomes publicly available information after so long. And so that's how we know that Rise of Palpatine lost money. Because they spent like $650 million on that movie, because they basically had to reshoot like the entire thing. And there was like giant segments of it they reshot and all this other shit. So even though that movie brought in like $1.1 billion, it still lost money because of how much it fucking cost to make. So that's always a fun thing. That's always a fun thing to think about.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Something's got to break, and Disney just seems to be like they're just doing
Stock
nothing
has
but shitty
been
things.
going down for the last year or two, so
They're under $90 again.
Mhm.
They're under $90 a share again. So I'll be curious to see what happens next year if Peltz decides to fucking try his hand at stuff again. But I think it's going to depend on, because I think the only thing they've got coming out right now in the theaters is the Mufasa movie, unless there's something I'm forgetting that's coming out this year in the theaters. But like we've got Agatha House of Harkness, or Agatha All Along, or whatever the fuck they're calling it now. That one's coming up. Say what?
Agatha Plus.
Yeah, Agatha Plus. There you go. That one's coming out this year, and that's not gonna. I don't think that one, unless it comes out of nowhere and actually ends up being halfway decent. That one's not gonna do well. That's gonna be
Right.
another flop.
This can actually translate really well into the Rings of Power discussion too, but like I think it's just made for like wine moms. So
Agatha All Along, yeah, kind of like She-Hulk. I don't know. She-Hulk wasn't even made for wine moms.
well, I know Catherine Hahn is like very beloved by a lot of like perhaps like women my age and older.
Yeah. No, I mean, I could see that. I mean, she is. I like, that's the thing too. There's like a couple of the actresses that I like, that I really like, that are in the show. You know what I mean? Like, what's her face? The crazy eyes ones, the dark hair, the kind of skinny chick, but she does crazy really well. I'm having a brain fart right now. I can't remember her name.
Is it Darcy's character?
Is it what?
Darcy's character?
I guess so.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it is the Darcy character. Yeah, but she's got the almond eyes, and she's got she plays a really good psycho because she does deadpan really fucking well, and she's actually kind of funny. Like in interviews and stuff, I've seen her. She's like actually kind of funny. But she plays deadpan really well. But she plays a psycho really good. She was in Legion. She played the demon inside of his head that was screwing with him the entire time, and she did an incredible job of it. And it sucks because I'm like, I almost want to watch it to see if I like it, just to see if she's any good in it or not. But I just imagine everything around it's going to be trash. Other than that, I think that's what you might get with that one, is you'll get some good performances, but the story's not going to make any fucking sense. Everything's going to feel like it's ripped off of something else, which is exactly what that trailer felt like. Was everything in it was ripped off of something else, like Evil Dead. Like they had like a bunch of Evil Dead vibes and like all kinds of weird shit. But I just
hit a bit of the what's that? The witch thing with what's her face? Bette Midler. The Halloween stuff. They're probably
Hocus Pocus.
Yes. Oh, there we go. Hocus Pocus. They're probably hoping to like have a crossover with that one. That kind of meeting crowd.
Well, and I could definitely see that, especially with like the costume design and just obviously the fact that it's witches and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, and they do kind of they do seem like they're trying to give off almost like a silly vibe to some of it, which is going to be kind of weird because like the world that Agatha like transverses in the Marvel universe, like I mean, she's basically like dealing with like demons and like blood magic and like all kinds of crazy shit like that, and it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna make this into kind of a comedy, I guess. I don't know. It seems like an odd choice.
Like the Screw Tape Letters, from C.S. Lewis, they say the devil's greatest trick is that he made people think that he wasn't real, and then the second greatest trick is that he made them believe that he wasn't somebody to take seriously. So yeah,
and I love the Screw Tape Letters. That was I've only read it once, but I swear it's been seared into my mind. That's one of those ones you should probably read like every year, just as a friendly refresher and a reminder. Because
my favorite book is Till We Have Faces by C.S. Lewis, and I try to reread it every year. So
I'll have to read that one. I don't think I've read that one. So I mean, I grew up on all of his Narnia stuff, and then I got as an adult and I found out about like the Screw Tape Letters and a couple of things. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Because like Narnia is like the only children's books he ever wrote. Everything else is like Christian and adult stuff, and like everything else.
Oh, wow. I like Out of the Silent Planet too. That series is really good.
Good to know. I'll have to put that on the list. But that really is the case, and I've used that quote several times. Is that's the best trick that ever pulled, was convincing people he didn't exist. And that's the thing, is it's like no one. It's like Yeah. Where do you think like, let's be honest here. Okay. The woke ideology is the same cult we were dealing with, 10,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, whatever. Same thing that they were dealing with in the Old Testament is the same fucking cult we're dealing with now. You know what I mean? Like, you think about it, they're sacrificing babies. They're freaking, they're burning anything down to the car. They're trying to, reshape the world in their image. They're trying to do their thing. It's narcissism. It's ego. It's all pride. It's all of the exact same stuff we've seen done before. And it's just hilarious that they think, oh, we're new, we're better than anybody else. That's because none of you know fucking history, and certainly none of you know biblical history, or you'd recognize all of this shit.
Yeah, it gets really specific in subcorners for what it's worth too. So like, I'll just say, like, I read my kids. We finished reading Harry Potter this week, so we finished the seventh book, and I had to explain to them, like, Rowling makes magic and everything else look very like simple, and like it's not like real witchcraft. Like there's no like cutting open animal heads and letting the innards bleed out, and there's no sacrifices at midnight under the full moon or anything.
Right.
There's not a lot of like the voodoo juju kind of stuff that goes on with some of the the more growing popular kind of demon kind of based witchcraft. And her version is just kind of light and fluffy, and when you think about it. And I had to explain that, like, it's still, so it's not really like real witchcraft. Like real witchcraft hasn't been tried,
Right. We just haven't sacrificed enough goats on the altar. Damn it. That's why he hasn't shown up yet.
But it's so interesting because especially by the time you get to like the last book, there's a quote on like Dumbledore's family's grave, and it's where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And actually, it's funny that my pastor is preaching on that this week. And you see a lot of the Gospels in her work, if you know what the Gospels say. And it's just funny that she can't actually write the book without having a happy ending, without invoking God and theology and everything. And I know she's had some really wild takes herself, but I do think all things considered, she did a pretty good job with the series. So.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I love I grew up with the Harry Potter books. Like, I think I got into them like right as the third one had gone into paperback, because for every other one I had after that, they were all the hardback editions. You know what I mean? So well, and it's cool because I found something really neat at Ollie's. They had I found the third and fourth one, the illustrated editions.
Yes.
And I started reading the third one, and I was like, I had to put it down because I was like, I'm gonna be stuck here reading this damn thing all night. And it looks so pretty too. But like, yeah, I mean, I loved all of that stuff. And you're right. And that's when you grow up, it's always so funny. I didn't get a chance, but I almost got into an argument with a pagan over the fact that Western civilization is built on Judeo-Christian values. You know what I mean? Like, and cool. Let's argue. Trust me, I got my historical references. Let's go to. Unfortunately, we didn't get to have that conversation because I was on somebody else's show and we were moving into other things. Yeah, but that's the thing. Anybody that grows up in that kind of culture with that kind of stuff, you can't help but be influenced by that. Even with as crazy as the Church of England is. You know what I mean? Those stories still get passed on. They're still part of the cultural influence out there. Those ideas of self-sacrifice, about giving yourself for but literally giving your life for others, which is what happened. Spoiler alert for a book that's, however many years old Harry Potter is now. Harry basically offs himself at the end to sacrifice himself to save everybody else. You know what I mean? And then of course he ends up coming, and then he literally rises from the dead. So it's like, how much more on the nose do you want to get for a Christ allegory than that? So.
Oh, there's actually lots of parallels. So like even in the seventh book, he's like super mad at Dumbledore. And it's like a lot of these echo like similar frustrations that people have with God. And I was just reading it and I was like, yeah, I've had that conversation with God a few times. So, but I definitely agree. I was explaining to my kids too, because they've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender now. That's probably like one of the better series that have come out in the last 20 years from Western culture. And I find it ironic because it's very Eastern based and everything, but you still have a lot of similar things in it that echo Western thought, you know, like the hero is self-sacrificial. And like I said, there's a definite good and a definite evil. And then you see a lot of that breaking down in Korra. So like, I told them, we're not watching this because it's just not good. But I had to explain to them like the difference between the Western and the Eastern mindset is the Eastern mindset is rooted in authority. And in the West, it is too, but our authority comes from truth and knowledge and the wisdom that's kind of distilled throughout the ages. And so like in, with like, I don't know, it's given the example of like with Islam, for example, you might have an imam that will say, oh, you can read this hadith, but not this one. And because they'll contradict each other. And, or they'll just be, you don't really read this to somebody that's this particular background or something, you know, because it turns out Western men who've grown up here have a problem with raping women, you know, and then, so like your religion, when you go to the mosque and you go and worship then, can be totally filtered through this imam, and you don't actually have the whole picture of Islam. Whereas in Christianity, like I think the Bible has been like criticized and thoroughly researched like several times over, and it actually stands up really well to historicity, yes, and any like kind of literary historical criticism that kind of comes in with it. So it's really hard to reconcile those two things, as authority and knowledge, and as separate anyway. So that's why when we say Jesus is the truth, it has to be like the truth, and that's why Western culture is so dependent on truth, is because Jesus is the truth, and without that kind of eternal lodging, you know, we just end up following whoever's right, or might equals right, or and then we have, oh, the oppressor is the bad guy. And then whoever's the loudest. So these aren't really qualified people all the time to be leading us.
Well, and you see that reflected in their storytelling too, right? Like you see that in the Acolyte. You see the Jedi, who have always been like this bastion of good and morality, and like, you know, they're always trying to go off against the evil, which wants nothing more than to prowl and corrupt. And now all of a sudden in the Acolyte, well, like you said, there's no the good guys aren't good guys, the bad guys aren't bad guys. You know, you have somebody who you think's good all the way up until the end, and then all of a sudden flips sides, and then the Jedi are like these horrible abomination of a people, and then like the other guy like gets kind of like this creepo weirdo kind of like pedo vibe towards the end, where he was supposed to be like her mentor and her master, you know. And so it's like they've perfectly personified their worldview in storytelling. Like they're telling you who they are and how they want the world to operate. And what they're finding out is that's not how the world operates, and everyone's rejecting their nonsense because, like you said, it's not the truth. And people, I think because we are inherent, there is something divine inside of each one of us, you know, whether it be you want to talk about the Holy Spirit, you want to call it your conscience, whatever it is, there is a gauge inside of you that will throw up red flags when something's wrong. Are you going to scream and rant and rave and turn on a microphone and start making YouTube videos about it? No, but well, you will walk away from it. Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe. But you will walk away from it because you know it's wrong. And even if you don't know why it's wrong, you know you don't like it. Mm-hmm. And so you're not going to pay any attention. And I think that's what you see reflected in their storytelling.
Well, we live in a very decadent time too. I was actually thinking about this earlier. It's like I grew up in the 90s, you know, and 90s were great. And I mean, it was so great that like the whole like political battle over Bill Clinton sleeping with Monica Lewinsky in the Oval Office. I mean, like, doesn't that seem like so quaint?
It's awful quaint compared to like, you know, I don't know, Joe Biden cutting $1 billion deals with China and funneling money through Ukraine, allegedly. You know, so no, boy, I miss the days of the complaint we had to fight and argue over was a president getting a blowjob in the Oval Office, man. Like, fuck.
Yes. So, I mean, even the stuff with RFK coming out this week, I'm like, you know, oh goodness. I was wondering if we were putting you to sleep, Diesel.
Oh no, he's okay.
Y'all aren't putting me to sleep. I was asleep half asleep when I got up here, man.
Yeah.
I'm slowly morphing into like an old man or something when it comes about 6 or 7 o'clock. I'm like, oh, it's like bedtime.
I think it's called turning 30, but okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that is true too. That is true too. If it wasn't for video games, I don't know how I would stay up so late at night. Well, Diesel, if you got to go, buddy, you can go crash out. You want to tell everybody where they can find you and what you're up to? Because I hear you got a new show that you do with Iron Oxide sometimes.
Yeah, on Sundays, usually at about 7:30 Central and 5:30 avocado time, we do a little science fiction show called Space Jockeys, and hopefully, Lord willing, this Sunday we're going to be talking about the Terminator anime that is really, really good, and it's not focused on John Connor, which is actually pretty cool. You know, it's a little slightly played out, I guess, but it's a really cool storyline, man. It's only 8 episodes, and I recommend it definitely if you're a Terminator fan or an anime fan. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I definitely want to watch that. It's on my list of things to watch. I just haven't got to it yet. This is why I hate the binge model, right? Because of my job. If they would not do this shit of the binge model, I would guarantee you I would watch it, because then I could review it and talk about something that I love and I like and I'm enjoying it. Like, fuck off with this binge model bullshit. But before you run off, Diesel, Little Peen Loves for $1.99. Says Diesel, you need a CPAP.
I don't
need
need that.
Sleep apnea.
I don't have sleep apnea. It's called like waking up at like 5:30 and then jogging 2 miles out in the sun, man. That's why I'm tired.
Well, a little magnesium when you go to bed won't hurt either. So,
Do what?
when you go to bed, take a couple of tablets of magnesium glycinate.
There you go.
Of what? I can't.
Magnesium.
Oh, magnesium. What?
Glycinate.
Glycinate.
There's a couple different magnesiums for different things. So.
See, look at that. See, there, Jim Bone loves your Space Jockeys show. There you go.
Cool.
See,
that's awesome.
Oh, well, Iron Oxide is a very nice guy. So.
Yeah, Iron's great. Iron's a great
Not
dude.
get sleep study. Get out of here with that nonsense. I don't care about what all those. Dad, don't freaking go out and jog 2 miles every day. He can afford to pay for all of that nonsense. That's
Night animation.
This night. Thank you for coming.
Yes,
no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm such a pal, man. I just been yeah.
You're good, brother. Go get you some rest. Yeah, no, go get you some rest. We're gonna talk about Dizchord. I think it's about time CS Johnson talk about herself for a little while.
Yeah, I'll put you to sleep anyway, talking about myself. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Well, look, you guys have a good one, and I am going to I'm gonna go to sleep.
There you go. Have a good night, Diesel.
Later, y'all.
Always nice running into you.
Yeah, you too as well. It's always a pleasure.
All right.
Well, that's freaking great. That is freaking great. And then there were two little mice. All right. So you want to share the Fund My comic or the Kickstarter? Which one do you?
Let's do the Fund My comic, because the Kickstarter is technically like fulfilled.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I did see that. Yeah, I did see that.
I was hoping that like, oh, maybe if we just show this link, we'll get enough people that it'll fulfill it, so it doesn't look like I'm a loser.
Right. And yeah, I'll drop the link for the Fund My comic in the YouTube as well. But yeah, so give us a little background. How did everything end up going with Dizchord 1 and and all of that kind of stuff? So give us a little history before we jump into Dizchord 2.
Oh, I think so. I'm not like the most extroverted person when it comes to like getting on shows and talking with people and stuff. I need somebody else to like pull it out of me so I can like be more interesting and stuff for people. But I like my stories a lot, and so it's like I always tell people, if you think I'm good enough to like trust, try my stories because they're actually interesting.
Right.
I'm gonna go home and do laundry after this. So, yeah. But when I started the Dizchord comic, like I said, it was kind of on a dare, and I wanted like I've told this story like millions of times. It's like the Miles Morales Thor comic came out, and it was kind of like, this is it, man. This is all you can
really
come up with.
cheesy, really fucking bad.
Yes. So I said, I'm the whitest white girl on Twitter, and I can write a better book about a black character. So that's kind of what I did. And I wanted to finish the story. So, the script for number 3 is in the works. Script for number 4, I'm trying to finish typing it out, and I got the outline for 5 done. So, and then
Hell yeah! Look at you, busy little bee.
yes, well, it's a departure from my novels. My novels are also very good.
Yes, that is true as well. That
Yes.
is true as well.
But so Dizchord is a hero that he's gifted in the ability. His supernatural power is that he can hear the song inside of every human soul, and your soul is tied to like your memories, and it's kind of like this music that goes and plays throughout your life, and like wraps around your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings. And so it's a pretty cool power. And so if he like puts his hand on you, he can like hear your soul song and hear like your emotions appear as like music notes to him. It kind of like gives away how you're feeling. If I honestly said if DC wants to call me up, they'll hate him because he'll be able to figure out who Batman is pretty easy. All he has to hear, all I have to listen for is the Dice Debris, right? The Song of the Dead.
Yeah.
So, but so he lives in Atlanta and he goes after human traffickers. So his dad was killed by one, and he's just trained for the last 10 years to go out and stop them.
Well, and I love that too, because it's like you don't have like this isn't some crazy supernatural villain or something like unnatural or anything like that. It's literally something that we all know is a major problem in the real world, and you're literally making like you're literally making like a ground level story. This is like a Daredevil. This is like a Punisher kind of thing, minus all the murder, and like all of that kind of stuff, So it's one of those things like that's really cool because that's what a lot of people like is a lot of those street level characters. Those are the ones that have turned into some of the favorites, I mean, obviously Superman and Batman and all of that kind of stuff. And honestly, at the end of the day, when you really think about it, if it wasn't for the Justice League, Batman would basically just be a street level hero to a certain degree because he goes out on patrol every night. He's locking up bank robbers. I mean, the epic stories are the ones you get with like Joker and stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, it's like most nights him and Robin are out there on patrol and they're catching muggers and, guys trying to stab people and rape women and shit like that, and it's like, yeah. And I mean, honestly, there's a real good argument to be made that he's probably the number one favorite out of all of the DC universe and always pretty much has been in sales, like he almost consistently always outsold Superman a lot of the time, especially when the writing was really freaking good. And so it's funny to think about that. So I like that a lot. The street level heroes, we definitely always need more of. And the nice part about this is they're easier to relate to sometimes than some of these big giant, like God-esque figures that we have with some of these other guys. So I like that. I like that.
I like blending the reality with absurdity more than anything else, and I think that's important to make the distinction is like we have real world problems and everybody has been gifted in a particular way. Like there's something unique about you. There's something that you get to tell the world about God and about who he is. And it's like your own kind of superpower. And like you probably won't be able to hear like the songs inside people's, bodies. But I mean, like there's so many things that I think like there are really good cases to be made that because you exist, the world can be such a better place. And the idea that, even people who do bad things, they have such a good potential. And it's so sad to see them go down like the dark path to like use what they've been given for their own greed. And then of course, evil outright. So, and part of the reason I really like this too is because I would think that despite the fact that we have 325,000 missing migrant children in America today, I think that human trafficking is something that we can all kind of agree is bad. So
Right. I think that's a pretty, yeah, and that was one of the funny parts is like when all of that discourse, all of that discord started out with like well, that movie where the line was like God's children are not for sale.
Oh, Sound of Freedom, yeah.
Sound of Freedom. Yeah, my wife and I went and saw it at the theater. I'm frankly blanking on the name, but it's like, oh, it's this right wing dog. Like that was what Rolling Stones like headline was, like this is right wing dog whistle about trying to scare people about da da da. It's like, wait. Are you trying to tell us you don't have a problem with child trafficking and like the sex slave trade? Is that what you're trying to say? You're okay with that? It's just like, yeah, even Rolling Stone goes off the deep end most of the time, but holy shit, that like talk about like everything from the other side is evil no matter what. It's like we can't all come to agree that human trafficking is bad. Really? So yeah.
Well, I do know that some people on Twitter who have read it maybe have like accused it of being woke because he is Black and his dad is an immigrant and now his mother is a single mom. And it's, I mean, she remarried, so it's not technically she's single, but it's like, and of course, like his dad was a cop, so there's lots of things in it that are just things that you can rally around the woke cause with. But it's like, see, this is the difference between good storytelling and bad storytelling.
Well, yeah, I hate those those are the same kind of reactionaries that are saying the next Legend of Zelda game's woke because you're playing as Zelda and not Link. It's like, okay, guys, give me a break. Okay. Like, look, Sandman, the Netflix television series, has a lot of gay shit in it. And personally, I think portrays gay people in a very bad light in certain cases. Okay. You know what I mean? Obviously the general cases, they're always in a bad, anyway, that's a morality argument for another day. That's for the Bible study on Sundays. But either way, I still found it as a very engaging story. Like the story is still really good. I still really enjoyed it. Is it are hardcore Sandman fans probably going to torch me for saying something like that? Probably, but I haven't read the Sandman comics. But this is how I always judge an adaptation. If I want to dig into the source material, that makes me want to dig into the source material, then it's good. And Sandman made me want to go in and go back and read the comics, and actually read the original source material. And then I could probably get all pissed off about the series and everything that they fucked up. But that's what a lot of people were like, oh, it's woke, it's yada, yada, yada. But when it's truly woke is when the only thing that matters is the agenda, is, the storytelling takes a backseat to everything. The marketing is representation, this representation, that, and all this other nonsense. That's how you know something's woke. Just because it's got a Black character in it, just because it's got a strong female protagonist in it, does not make it fucking woke. You know what I mean? And those are the kind of reactionaries out there that are the reason why the woke psychopaths can point to this one or two people out there that are going, oh, see, they're just a racist. They just don't like it because of da-da-da. You guys are the fucking problem when you're a reactionary like that. Like, you guys literally are part of the problem. Well, you're just as bad as the fucking wokies.
Most of the time when I get criticism about my work, I usually ask them, did you actually read it? Because that's usually the telltale sign. Did you actually buy it? Did you actually read it? Because I feel this way about my Fat Girl novella series too. That one needs a comic adaptation.
I believe that. Oh, that's poor Link. He should have done a prenup. I know, right? Well, oh yeah, and I know, but I think we've got plenty of artists that would love to draw that, and probably plenty of people that would like to look at that. So,
well, feel free. It's on Amazon. C.S. Johnson, Fat Girl. Yep. But with Dizchord, like I said, I really wanted a grounded hero. I wanted somebody that was realistic, that could look at the problems that we have in Atlanta. Because Atlanta is a huge human trafficking fund. Hartsfield-Jackson is one of the busiest airports in the world, if not the busiest. And we are actually the most, per square mileage of the city, we have the most monitoring systems. So we have the most cameras in there. And so, like, you're telling me that even despite all this monitoring, we still have this huge problem. Okay. So,
well, it's because it's a problem they're not actually looking to try to actually solve, right? And that's the thing about it, because the number one consumer of the products that a lot of the time come out of the human trafficking world is the United States.
Yeah.
And that's, there's a reason why we don't know the Epstein client list and like all of this other kind of stuff, because there is a lot of powerful people that are either making a lot of money off this stuff or benefiting from it in their sick, twisted, fucked up ways.
Yes,
And
they're probably buyers.
yeah, exactly. And you want it, like you said, it's the most surveilled area, one of the most surveilled areas in the country, if not the most. And then it's a huge
Metropolitan wise, yes, it is.
Yep.
So
it's because they turn them
more than New York City. Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
So yeah, I love that. That's a great thing for your character to take on. So
Yeah.
okay. So let's check out this trailer. Let's see what we got here.
Introducing.
Ooh, this is just a little 33-second one too. This is a proper teaser. This is how you do a teaser. 33 seconds. That's what we're talking about here. This is a teaser. All right, let's check this out here.
Introducing Dizchord, Atlanta's newest superhero, from award-winning author C.S. Johnson. With musical powers that enable him to hear the unique song of each individual's soul, Dizchord has spent the last decade honing his skills and training to take down his father's killer. But Dizchord isn't just fighting for justice. He's also using his powers to go after human traffickers and put an end to their heinous crimes. Get this 30-page full-color comic today.
I like that. That's
yes. The guy who did the animation for the trailer is really good. He's on Twitter, and I'll see if I can send you his account. So, but
yeah,
it was really great work.
Yeah, it looks great. I like that too. And so where are we picking up in this story along? Because I do love the whole, like, you've definitely got like the Batman vibe going to, like, the whole he's been training for like for the past 10 years to take. I like that's like total Batman stuff. Like, and I like that. But so where are we at now? So where does Dizchord number 2 pick up after Dizchord number 1?
All right, so in Dizchord number 1, he reunites, I guess, with his father's killers and duke it out. And now he's found out that more or less who hired him and why. So and it ties back to when he met a certain politician, so,
Nice.
and her daughter. So.
Ooh, intrigue. I like that. So are we doing some flashbacks in this book too, showing off like some of his training and stuff like that?
Oh no, so his day job is that he helps out at his dojo. So after his father died, his father had like prepaid for him to have 10 years of lessons. And so he works there now.
Nice. That's a perfect day job for somebody who wants to fight crime at night. I actually like that. And that's believable too, right? Like that actually makes sense. I mean, I don't know, finding out that your dad paid for 10 years of karate lessons for you is probably a little.
Well,
odd.
the big kind of fun twist at the very end of issue number 1, if you haven't read it, just read it, okay? Is that with his power, he can actually pull his dad into the future. So they still get to talk from time to time and stuff. And so his dad actually knows that he's going to die if he doesn't know how exactly. And he prepares, once he learns this, he prepares his son to be able to live without him.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's epic. That's
Like 2 copies.
I love buy 2 copies now. Buy 2 copies now. That is awesome. And we got a lovely lady here. I love that too. That always works out nice.
I have to say, like, so in script number 3, you learn more of her backstory because she's the politician's daughter. And but you kind of one of the things that I really liked the idea of touching on is that, like, so like you have the hero who's aiming for the heights and accomplishment and stuff, but you also have people that they're trying to climb out of the depths, and so their journeys are kind of complementary. She doesn't get the same amount of screen time, but she's just as compelling for all our women readers.
Hey, there you go.
And you know what? She's very pretty too, which you don't see a lot of quality.
Well, and that's what I was kind of pointing out. That's why I was kind of curious about that. because it's one of the things. It's like that's what I thought was kind of, that's what I was like, that's what I want to ask about, because it's like that, like you said, that's not something you see in the modern era. They always try to make everybody so ugly and like all of that kind of stuff. So yeah. I dig this. And this is, I'm guessing this is how he sees the powers and everything else.
Yeah.
I love how that's represented in the story, the musical notes.
There are days, and I mean today's even one of those days for me and my family, where you ask, you know, why aren't these people like that are doing these bad things? You know, why do we have to deal with them? You know, and why does God let evil things happen? And I think the nice thing about realizing that, you know, everybody has that, like that spark of dignity and the Imago Dei, you know, there you go. It's not necessarily that you know, it's like when you face evil, you have questions about why you have to face evil. And I think understanding that, you know, there is the light and the dark, and the whole gray area is just fractured light. You know, it's wonderful to kind of realize that you're not qualified to be judge, jury, and executioner the entire way through. So I think that was something that I really wanted to hit on personally, because I like Batman's no kill reel, you know, and I admire it, and I also understand like as Batman fans will say, is like Batman is more like, how do you stay human in a world that seems utterly bizarre and inhumane? So I mean, Superman, by contrast, since you were mentioning Superman earlier, Superman is more like, what does it mean to be human? And then Batman's kind of philosophical question is more of like, how do you remain human in a world where you can't really be human? And for Dizchord, it's about understanding kind of like that balance of how do I do what's right without compromising my soul in the process. So yes, they'll rant about my story.
No, you're good. I'm listening.
That's okay.
Oh.
Oh, as long as you don't fall asleep too.
No, that's definitely not going. No, that's definitely not going. No, like my people always tell me I'm crazy when I'm like, I do 24-hour streams. They're like, you're insane, probably. But like, yeah, I there's a reason why it was, I was a functioning alcoholic for about 10 years, because it was one of those situations where I don't sleep very well naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, like, you know, I'll even be up to, like, even on a normal night, I'm up to like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, like no matter what. Like, it's just, that's just how I you know, I 4-6 hours of sleep and like I'm popping back up and ready to go again. And so it's like, it's really quite irritating, truth be told, especially when I had to be up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work and shit like that. But yeah, so it's one of those things. No, you're definitely not going to put me to sleep by any means. But
Melatonin, magnesium for you.
yeah, I see. You're like, look at you, like, do you have like stock in magnesium or something? Like, you're just a magnesium. Magnesium fixes everything.
No, it's just it's really good for absorbing things and like your nutrients in your body, and so it'll help you relax. So.
Oh, okay. I never give that a try then. Your cats are screaming. That's great. So yeah, I like that. I like your comparison between like the Batman and the Superman kind of thing. Like, you know, being, you know, like kind of with Batman being kind of like the sane one in an insane world, and like Superman having to come from that different perspective. So I like that. And so, yeah, I just don't know. I dig this. I dig this a lot.
Well, I mean, a lot of comics today, I think, are, wouldn't it be cool if this thing happened? And they don't really think it out. And that's
right.
How the stories end up going kind of like out the window sometimes. They're not just jumping the sharks. They're like they're making the sharks jump through hoops.
Yeah, they're like literally trying to jump the entire ocean at this point, and yeah, try to make the sharks act like clapping seals. Like they've completely, like, that's why that ecosystem doesn't work. That's not how this goes. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
Yeah. One of the other things I did want to point out too, like the other side of the whole Batman, Superman, Spider-Man Dizchord, that Dizchord kind of like does like embrace that I don't see as much anymore is like that he has a day job. Like he has a day job and he's going to school to be a counselor so he can help the people that he rescues in another way. And I think that's something I'd like to see more of too. You know, it's very nice that Batman gets to go around and pretend that he's like ultra rich and everything and stuff. And I get that's part of his like mask, so people don't take him too seriously. But one of the things I really like about Superman is that he is a journalist, and you know, he doesn't work for CNN.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He works for the Daily Planet. Yeah. I love it. Well, and yeah, and I think that is, you're right. And that's something I didn't even really think about that. Yeah. But yeah, Peter Parker had his job, you know, taking pictures, and that's a good, well, you don't see that a lot anymore. It's like, you know, so, you know, you don't see Wonder Woman holding down a day job. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, like you even look at the new Batman stuff and it's like, you don't ever, you don't hardly see Bruce Wayne. And if you do, it's just because he's being dressed down by Selena Kyle. You know what I mean? Because, you know, she has done a better job saving Gotham than he has. You know, and so it's, yeah. I like that idea of making them, have day jobs, because it also helps them make them more relatable too. You know what I mean? And so I think that's nice too. I like that a lot.
Yes. And I think if you go for relatability too much, it's the death of the aspirational. Like I can't imagine anybody actually aspires to be like me, but it's like, but still like being someone that can write books, you know, like you got to have something that's like, I get a lot of people that say, oh, I want to write a book too. Is it very hard?
Well, and that's always the thing. If it was easy, everybody would do it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about it. So.
Well, the thing too, like about Dizchord becoming a child psychologist for like trauma victims and stuff, is that his mission will like encourage his vigilantism, because there's a side that you can go about it one way, and then there's a side you can go. It's not just like stopping the bad guys; it's also hurting the people or helping the people who have been hurt. And I like that kind of complete kind of arc in the way that he does that.
That is a good way to approach it too, because that's not something you see very often either. You don't see somebody who is the hero that saves you from the bad guys, knocks them out, beats them up, locks them up, and that's a good question. And that's actually kind of a fun question to answer too. It's like, what comes after that, after the trauma, after, you know, after getting kidnapped by the Joker and being tortured, you know, how do you deal with that in your life? And I like that. And you get to see him help twice. And I like that. That's something that's unique. That's something I don't think I've ever seen in another hero before. So I like that.
Well, like one of my mom's favorite TV series is Monk, and it's all about this guy who's like OCD and ADD and all, or whatever. And he's on the path to like find his wife's killer. And it's like, even after the end of the series and he knows who did it and stuff, he still goes back to work. And I think that's one of the most heroic things that you can do, is like, even if your purpose is fulfilled or your main quest is completed, you still have like you still do other things. You have more side quests to attend to until you find a new particular fixation, maybe.
Yeah. A new obsession, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think people forget, like, since it is election year, I think people forget that like not all your problems are going to be solved, even if the person that you want to win will be elected. And if you really want to change the world, you have to show up where you want it to change.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. And that's the thing. And that's a good point. And I like that you were talking about, like, you know, still having stuff left to do, because that's the thing. It's like, you know, I turned on a camera and a microphone because of what these companies had done to my favorite stories. You know what I mean? But even say a miracle happens and Disney completely turns everything around, you know, even Star Wars gets saved by some crazy ass fucking miracle. You know what I mean? This doesn't mean it doesn't mean the job's done, right? The only reason we got into this situation is because there wasn't more people speaking up, saying something, and keeping an eye on things. You know, we failed on our duties as watchers on the wall, and now we're oh shit, everything's gone to hell, and now we're trying to turn around and fix it. And it's like, we should have been doing this 10 years ago. Hopefully there's enough of us out there that are smart enough to have learned our lesson that will keep carrying on and doing this going forward and doing this going into the future. Because if we don't, just like it happened in the Old Testament over and over again, we're going to go right back to our hedonistic fucking ways, and we're going to find ourselves in the exact same situation all over again in the next generation.
Well,
and, you know,
and I definitely agree. You can see this in a lot of areas in culture today, though. I mean, there's so many men that, you know, they don't have girlfriends and they're not getting married, and they keep asking, you know, why not? And it's like, have you really grown up? You know, and that's a hard question for a lot of people to answer. And then for women on the other side, it's like, where's my Prince Charming? And it's like, you have to be like prepared to be a princess like for Prince Charming.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, if you want a gentleman, you have to act like a lady.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of them don't want. You know what I mean? They want to be able to have it both ways. And that's narcissism, that's ego, that's, you know, you want to be able to have your cake and eat it too. You know, and
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, I mean, that's just like that. And we see that represented in a lot of their storytelling and stuff like that. Cause it's like, you know, we're supposed to relate, like She-Hulk. I always love using She-Hulk as an example, because I think that's the most glaring example of them literally self-inserting themselves, because you see She-Hulk go throughout that series, and what's she doing? She's going out every night. She's getting drunk. She's depressed. She's acting a fool. And all she's wanting to do is find somebody she wants a relationship. She wants a satisfying relationship, but she still wants to go out and act like a moron and do all the rest of this other dumb shit at the same time. And it's like that. You can't take home a guy because he bought you French fries and expect not to get treated like a slut. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you can't have both. You can't go out and getting drunk every night and go and, you know, Google-eyeing at every guy that, you know, buys you a drink, and, you know, that's all it takes. He bought you some French fries and said something nice to him, and now you're taking him back to your apartment and banging him. It's like, wow, I wonder why you haven't found a meaningful relationship. Yeah.
Yes, if you want to be treated specially, you've got to act special. I don't mean that like in a retarded sense either. I just mean like, I mean like it makes perfect sense to the person that's disconnected from it. So
Yeah.
I saw the meme the other day. It's like, this is what feminism is, and it's like, one woman had a sign that said all men are pigs, and then the next woman next to her said women are equal to men. And I was like, well.
Oh, that is that. Yeah, that is great. And you're like, yeah, and that's just, I guess, I don't know. I guess you want to call it cock envy. Like, I don't know what the issue is, but it's the idea of the whole, it's like, you know, it's you bought the bill of goods that feminism sold you, you know, second wave, third wave, first wave, whatever frickin' version you want to blame it on. It's like, you bought this bill of goods that said, you know, you could do everything. You could be everything. And it's the same bill of goods that they were, you know, oh, you're all special. You can be whatever you want when you grow up, and you can do it. No, some of you are retarded, and some of you, and that's okay, because there's nothing wrong with being a janitor. We need fucking janitors. We need people that do these kind of jobs for 30, 40 years, you know, and guess what? No matter how fucking hard I practice, I'm never going to get a start. I'm never going to be a starting liner in the fucking NBA. You know what I mean? It's just not in my cards. Okay. Like, that's just how the world is. And this idea of you can do everything, have everything, be everything. It's bullshit. And it leads people with these, you know, like you said, they're looking for Prince Charming while wanting to act like a hoe. You know, like, you're expecting, I don't even know where I was going with that now, but like, I hate it when that happens, but it's just they're expecting something to come out of, and it's not going to happen. It's the same, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and they wonder why it all fails. I just don't know. I don't know.
Yes. And I mean, like, there is some like nuance to it where you have to realize, like, even if you do all the right things, you're still not guaranteed like the happy ending. Like, you can't bank on it, but I mean, like, it's still like, you should put your best foot forward and do your best. And you know, my son is in trail life, and the boys, their motto is walk worthy, you know, and I think that's a great calling for men. It's like, walk worthy. I mean, like, yes, there are lots of women who need to be reminded that, you know, they need to be ladies, I think. And the feminist kind of angle from it is just that, like, women are equal to men, to the point where they're like, we can't even answer like consistently as a culture what a woman is, and let alone a lady.
Right.
Well, I mean, I you know, I have a daughter too, so, and I've told her, is like, you want to be a good helpmate to your husband. You know, you shouldn't be like and you can't use the word like sex doll with her age, but it's like you don't
Right.
want to be this person who you can't be this person who's open to everything. You have to know what you want and wait for it, and that's
Yep.
awful. You can't be the sex doll. You can't be this princess who you expect everybody to serve you. You've got to be a helpmate. You've got to be willing to serve and take care of things and balance life out with what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And I hate that term for what it's worth, because it does make it more contractual and like reciprocal in terms of like even things. And one of the things I want to talk about with Rings of Power is that I think it's appealing more to women, because all the people that I know that like it, that are not paid shills, so far as I know, are women.
Really?
Are enjoying this series. Yes. And I'm not even talking about like necessarily wine moms. I'm talking about women who have families and have a decent amount of education and life experience behind them. And I thought about it, and part of the reason I think they like it is because it has romantic elements in it, like with the elf guy and the healer lady, you know, and it's clean.
Oh, you're talking about Galadriel and Sauron? You're talking about like the chick that's.
Well, there's that too.
Oh, okay. Which one? I don't know which ones you were talking about then.
So, the guy that looks like Don Lemon, elf guy.
Oh, yes. Oh, and what's funny about that? Yeah. The fucking, the literal black elf. Like the dark, he's an actual dark elf, quite literally, and not in the way we actually normally mean that in fantasy. But yeah, no, and and guess what? They killed her off. That actress is no longer part of the show. She's gone.
But see, like they saved it enough that where it's like he's raising her son as his own. I mean, like, do you know how many women are like, they're like, oh, that's so wonderful. That's such a good man to step up and do this.
I can't wait till they find out we're never going to see the kid again either. Like, I guess like I watched Gary's review, because I only watched the first episode. Gary watched all three and did a review, and I watched his review, and like like I said, I haven't seen the second or the third one yet. So I haven't even seen Don Lemonless show up yet. And he was like, yeah, he's like, yeah, by the way, he goes out for a pack of smokes and never fucking comes back on the kid. I'm like, oh shit.
I will say, like, I think it's catering largely to a largely female audience in this respect, because it has the women friendships too, where like just that kind of sisterly affection. You don't see that often in literature, but it's very prevalent in women works that women love, like Jane Austen works. You see it a lot there. So they're pulling things from that. They're pulling the enemies to lovers, slow burn trope with Galadriel stuff or whatever, and then they've got the divorced / widowed father now. And I honestly think that's like the reason that like a lot of the men who are watching it hate it, and a lot of the people who are like me who are like, this is not canon. No, thank you. You know, I mean, I haven't even read the whole Silmarillion.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
And it's like, I know this stuff is like bunk. I mean, like Galadriel from even the Lord of the Rings movies is nothing like this person. And she wouldn't, I mean, like the age difference isn't so big that it would be this profound, you know?
No.
And
not for an elf. Not
No.
for an elf in the Tolkien universe.
Right. And then like the whole like, where's her husband? Like, I mean, like, I'm kind of waiting for him to show up, but it's still like, so I think that's why, I think honestly, if you look at it through like a woman feminist kind of lens, the Rings of Power stuff makes sense. And it actually like the whole, like, there's no male directors on set now. I mean, it really does kind of make sense as to why season 2 is supposedly doing better than season 1.
Oh, who said that?
I don't know. I saw it like briefly a headline or whatever, but
oh no. It's actually the direct opposite. They've lost half their viewers from season 1. Okay. The Samba TV numbers came in now, because Samba is strictly streaming numbers, right? Okay. It's because Samba TV has any smart TVs. Samba has access to the numbers. So like if you have an Amazon or like a Roku or anything like that, if you stream it, Samba has access to those numbers with their deals that they've got with all of those guys. So this is what they
low before. So maybe I just read the numbers and I was like, oh, that's actually doing pretty good.
Well, okay, so the first season, because they've got it in here, the first season was 1.8 million for the premiere of season 1. The premiere of season 2 was 902,000. And this is comparing strictly Samba to Samba. This isn't comparing it to anything else. It's just Samba to Samba numbers. So they've lost half their audience. And it's funny because if you look at the numbers, what?
That's probably the men.
Right. Well, and that's the thing about it, because they lost 63% of their viewership from episode 1 to the last episode of season 1. Like they had a 37 and they had like a 37% completion rate is what they said. And the funny part is, and even around the world globally, it was slightly better, but it was only 48%. And they said 50% completion rate would be considered okay. And this is way below that. And now they've lost half of that audience as well. And so it's like, and it's only going to get worse. And this is only for the first episode. And given this is they did a 5-day carriage of numbers because they when they released it, versus the last one was a 4 days. So not only is there an extra day to count numbers, to pad the numbers, but it still didn't matter. It's 50 fucking percent.
Well, I would say try looking at the fake news media for the numbers. Because I'm sure something in there is like, oh, it's doubly good now or whatever.
Oh, I have no doubt that somebody is going to try to spin this. But yeah. I mean, that thing has been Jeff Bezos's $1 billion vanity project that literally, like, he would have been better off setting $1 billion on fire and watching it burn. Like, he probably would have gotten more viewers than they're getting with this show.
Well, and they have the money to play around with it. That's probably the worst part of all this. It could have been something really good. So.
Well, and yeah, and
I do want to real quickly. I do want to blame like pop culture on Rings of Power. Like, it's not even like that. It's like we need like proper rom-coms again. Like Bridgerton on Netflix is probably like a meme by now, but women love this. What happened to gosh, what was that show called with Maggie Smith in it that everybody loved and wouldn't let her die? The
name rings a bell. I think. Well, because the name Maggie Smith rings a bell, but I'm horrible with names.
She's the Lady Dowager person in the thing. Oh, it's gonna bother me now. I have so many friends that love that show.
No worries.
I'm gonna have to Google it. But
no, go ahead, Google it. What's up, JS Pena? Good to see you, buddy.
It's like set during World War II. There's like 9 seasons. There's another movie coming out.
Holy shit. Wow, I really have no idea.
The movie.
I know, Mars, you're tyrannical. How dare you? How dare you? Schools today focus so much on getting people into colleges for jobs they may never do, while simple ethics and pronunciations are foregone and the students don't know how to behave post-education. Boy, ain't that the fucking truth? Ain't that the truth?
Downton Abbey. There we go.
Oh, Downtown Abbey. Okay. Well, that shows you. I don't even know what that show's about. Okay. I know the name of the show, but I didn't know anything about it, like it being set in World War II or any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I know that one was really popular.
Yeah. So, but no, like all the stuff that women love is like right there. It's in Rings of Power, but you can't celebrate being a woman without all this other crap in it. So.
Yeah, you know. and that's the problem too, is like that, and like that's one of, like, so many people have an issue with this. Like Galadriel, first off, she is horribly miscast, because Homegirl, she should be like Bran of Tar size. Okay, right? Like Galadriel is supposed to be taller than the average male dwarf. Like that's one of the things that like makes her so athletic, and that's why she was able to do better in certain sporting events than the boys and stuff like that, because she was bigger than all of them. She was unusually large for a female elf. And what's so funny about that is it's like, you know, so they took just that and turned her into this fucking badass warrior, except Morford Clark's like 5'1" and probably weighs like 100 pounds sopping wet. And you have this chick taking out trolls. Okay, well, she's an elf, so she's stronger. Okay, but even then you're still like, wait, what? You know, and so it falls flat, and it doesn't relate to a lot of people. And that's the other thing too, is like, even if it wasn't just a bastardization of Tolkien's work, Professor Tolkien's work, it's bad fantasy. It's just bad fantasy.
There's not like enough background story to like lift up the actual story.
No, and that was one of the funny things that I saw from some of the reviews too. It's like, of season 2, because like the critics are not happy with season 2 already. I think it's got like, which doesn't sound horrible, but it's like a 75 or 78% on Rotten Tomatoes from the and that's all critics. That's the shills, included the Access Media ones that don't work for like the Hollywood Reporter and stuff like that. Grace Randolph said she's not going to even watch season 2 and review it. You know, and she's like head of the talking point yard. She liked Borderlands. Okay. So it's like, and she is like, not going to bother. She says the engagement is not worth the time investment that I would have to put into this. So basically, because she's going to say good things about it, no one's going to watch her videos because nobody trusts her opinion on any of this shit. Mm-hmm. And so she can't even farm engagement because there's not enough like positive fans out there to even want to bother watching this shit.
I'm sure she could pick up some bots if she said something nice. But
yeah. Well, and here's the other thing: she could also get a lot more viewership if she would just give her honest opinion.
Well, I will say like the TV series stuff tends to be more drawn out. But I mean, again, like women like conversational stuff, like conversation heavy stuff. That's why part of the reason, like, my biggest criticisms that I've gotten about Discord has been that, like, it's too wordy. It's like, well, novels, Terry, and I'm like, what's going to happen?
That's what I was going to say. You were writing novels before you decided to take your hand at comic books. And one of the things too is it's like, I think that might've been because I was on 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser's Clobby's Clubhouse last week. And we had Mike Barron on. Right. Because he wrote Gooding and obviously, you know, Punisher and like a million other freaking things that everybody knows and loves. And it's one of those things as I was talking about it, I said, I wish there would have been more in the story. Like I wanted the backstory more fleshed out. And it's so funny because Mike's like, that's funny because this is actually the longest single issue comic that I have ever written. And he's like, you know, and it's so funny. He's like, I'm going to start taking a page out of Chuck Dixon's book, you know, and do what he does and, you know, put more meat on the bone and, you know, take these 2 panels per page and tell a freaking story. And, you know, not over, you know, not nothing but bubbles all the way down, you know, but I'm actually going to give you more of a story. And I'm like, thank you. That's what I want. He's like, and it's crazy for me to even think about that because before it was less is more when it came to comics. But I think that's one of the reasons why I might not have ever gotten into comics as much as a kid as I did books also because of the fact that, you know, the library was free. But it's because like that's why when I would rather buy not the graphic novel version, but the anthology series where it's got like the entire story arc in it and read it from the beginning because I'll burn through a comic way too fast. I'll burn through a comic in 15 minutes, you know, and that's if it's that's if it's one of the, you know, like the floppies. You know, I'm done with it in 15 minutes and I'm like, I want more. Where's the next? You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's what I like. You know, I mean, I like freaking, you know, gigantic, thick books. I've got plenty of examples behind me. You know what I mean? And that's what I want. So if that's a criticism you're getting, be like, okay, cool. Thanks.
I mean, that's pretty much the only criticism I've seen other than a couple of the other cultural ones, but you know, but I'm really, like I said, I'm really proud of my work with Dizchord too. I like my artists; they did a great job with it. And like I said, I wanted a five comic run, just because it's newer, but you still want something like kind of longish. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's the nice part too. That's what was one of the things that I like. That's why, and I love that. I love that a lot of our independents have learned from the mistakes of other people. And that's one of the things I do believe we culturally evolve. Like we do actually learn from our mistakes in certain aspects. And as a culture, our wisdom level, intelligence level goes up, right? Like the example I always use is like when people win the lottery, well, they're all broke in 5 years or whatever it is like that. And that's true. That used to be the norm. But now, because that story has been repeated so many times and it has permeated the culture so much now that doesn't happen anymore. You know, anybody that wins the lottery now, like immediately hires an attorney and an account finance. And hell, a lot of time these attorneys and account finance people reach out to them. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let me manage this for you because you hear that story, right? You don't want to be that guy, you know.
Right.
And so, and I think when it comes to the comics, is that's what a lot of the guys are learning now, is because we're in this indie sphere where you're paying for this. People don't want to take the chance on something if they don't think we're never going to see an issue 2, you know. And like, you know what, like EVS is a prime example. Like people have been waiting like 5 years or something for like one of his books or some shit like that, you know. And it's like, and we can look at what's his face, good old Winds of Winter, George R.R. Martin, right? Never gonna finish Winds of Winter, you know. And that's probably for slightly different reasons, but it's just seeing that you have a plan and seeing that a lot more of these guys are doing that. They're coming in here with plans going, look, if this is successful, I've already got 4, 5, 6, 10 more issues in my head. Or like Jason Sandberg's prime. Jason says hi, by the way. He's sick and under the weather. He just wanted to make sure I told you he said hi. But like Jason's had like, you know, 10 issues planned out since essentially the beginning with Jupiter, you know. And that's what a lot of people like. That's what they like, you know. And I think that's something that a lot of people have learned. People aren't just trying to make a one-off anymore. We're not just a one-hit wonder. You're trying to go, look, I've got a plan. You're going to get more if you support me now. I've got more projects coming. This is what your money's going to. Yeah. And I think that's I love the fact that we've learned that, and a lot of people, it really resonates with a lot of people. So I like that you've had that plan.
Yes. Well, I think it's important to like that you have a definite ending in mind. I mean, like I've seen so many movies that like they get sequels and it's like, where's this going? And what, you know, like, this doesn't make any sense. And I've seen so many TV shows too that like they have series and then it's like, oh, we want to make more money, write us another season. And it just goes off the rail and it completely kind of undoes the charm and the appeal of the first season. And I think that, so like having the end in mind was important with Dizchord, and I have the end in mind. So, and it's a good launching off point too. Like I always try with my sequels. So like, when people ask me if I have happy endings, and this is probably another reason why I'm not like super famous, because I have what I call happily enough ever afters. So, like you get like a happy ending in one way, but it's also like this might not last. But it's also not like Star Wars where it completely undoes everything that you liked about it. So. No. I've had to tell my kids we're never watching the Disney Star Wars sequels because it's not really Star Wars.
No, that's a very good idea, is to not let them watch any of that stuff, because they've done, and what they don't realize is, I don't know if they realize it yet, but they will, and whether they'll ever say what.
I've probably tried to explain it to them.
Well, no. What I'm saying is these corporations that have done this, like what Disney has done to Star Wars, is they don't realize they've lost a generation, right? There is a point, like you said, you get to a point and you stop, right? You don't go any farther. It's like with Doctor Who now, you get up to a certain season and you just stop. You don't go any farther because you know everything that comes after that is horrendous. You know, like we do our little Sunday night When Who Was Good review, and we're going through Matt Smith right now. And, you know, there's some episodes that aren't as good as others, but by God, it's still better than everything post Eccles or post Capaldi, you know, post Capaldi leaving, you know. So it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, so all of that stuff's still great. And that's the worst part, is you lose a generation when you do that, because guess what? The stuff that you're producing now, I'm not going to show to my kids. You know what I mean? I've got, you know, Madhouse Retro sent me this gift box together that all of these are EU books.
Nice.
You know what I mean? These are like, I think there's only one of them that's under like the New Legends brand, but the story is still great. But all of the rest of this is all EU stuff. We've literally got decades of Star Wars that most of us haven't gone through, that would love to have you know, we're not all Ryan Kennel, who have literally, you know, read everything the EU has ever produced and has most of it memorized. You know what I mean? And so but you know, so we've got all of this stuff to go through. Guess what? We don't need Disney Star Wars. And they're going to lose an entire generation because of that. Because guess what? If we're not passing it down to our kids, they're not going to pass it down to their kids.
Nope.
You know, it would take a renaissance or a rediscovery if they ever do turn anything around for even that to happen, you know. And it's that's damage you can't repair.
Well, it's further damaging too, because the millennials have taken so long, like on average, to grow up and mature. And so like, and I know people are like, there's different reasons that women are holding off on having kids and getting married, like going to college and having jobs and stuff. But like a large part, I mean, women force men to grow up a large portion of the time. And if we're not settling down, they're not settling down, you know. And you know, without that kind of thing. Like, you don't realize sometimes how important like it is to take on that responsibility, you know, because a lot of it is like, if I can get away with something, I'll get away with it. And when you can't get away with it, after a while, you start to realize how important it is to be able to uphold what's been placed on your shoulders, you know, like the idea of standing on giants, you know, on the shoulders of giants. And it's like, we're supposed to add to that. We're not supposed to just stay there and jump off.
Right.
And so much like, even in Hollywood, like one of my friends, like they work in the special effects department, and there's like nobody young that's like my age young, I should say. Like, all the people who are really proficient at it are doing stuff that's like, sorry, my dog's barking. But like, the people who are in it are people who are older than me, and there's not anybody that can really responsibly take up their like, if they retire, there's nobody to take up that banner that's responsible and ready for it. Most of their apprentices, because people have realized that this is a shortage, there are a lot more apprenticeships going on right now. And so there will be people that can handle the job, but it'll still take like 10, 15 years to get to the point where, oh, okay, now we can kind of be comfortable passing this on.
Right. And that's a scary thing too, because that's something we've heard about inside of Disney from like some of the Disney insiders inside like the animation department, like the Disney files that Film Threat was doing. Alan Ng, X-Ray Girl's dad. That's one of the things that's what they were doing, is that's what they were saying, is like, all of the people that were good and talented that really knew what they were doing have been forced out because these younger people that they're bringing in don't want to do the work, don't want to learn how to do the work. And so the older people that actually know what the hell they're doing end up finishing these people's work in order just to get the damn job done. And you're going to leave. You're going to check out. You're not going to keep putting up with that BS. And that's like what we saw with the Wish, that BS 100-year anniversary abomination that Disney put out there, that was just woke agenda driven dribble bullshit. And also was just really bad writing, really bad storytelling. The songs were cringy as all hell. The music was bad, and it's like, and that's why, because that's the people you've got coming in that you've brought in to replace these people. They're not passionate about the medium. They don't care about doing a good job. It's I work at Disney or I do X, Y, and Z. It's not because they have a love for it, because these jobs have gone away from being blue collar jobs to where now it's about the prestige. It's about the position of doing the job. And we've seen the exact same thing happen in the comic book industry, right? Like, you hear a lot of these guys that have been in the old comic book industry forever, and they talk like blue collar workers because it was a grind, right? You had to get shit done. Right. There was no waiting months and, issues getting delayed because the artist isn't getting things done or the writer hasn't gotten things done. That shit was, we would get your ass fired real fucking quick back then. And now, because it's become a prestige job instead of being the blue collar work that it was always supposed to be treated as, right. Now they're all artists. Yeah, you were a fucking artist that was supposed to be banging out 10 pages a fucking day. That's why you weren't a starving artist, because you didn't just want to do a lofty, you had the work ethic of a guy working at a factory, and that's gone. That work ethic is gone in a lot of these institutions. And we're seeing the results of that now.
Yeah. I mean, like, technology, it's funny because like in Star Wars, like in the written out novelization, like I'm pretty sure it's actually even episode 1, they talk about how technology had tamed the galaxy, but it also like weakened it because it had become this crutch that men would use. And so this idea that, it's kind of come full circle for him is kind of amusing to me.
No, life imitates art for a reason. And a lot of these things kind of will predict, where the things are going, because it's not hard to predict where these outcomes will go if you're willing to study history, because like there's nothing new under the sun, right? That's said for a reason, that exists for a reason, because it's true. A lot of things just kind of change form. And so and that's why they want to erase history too, because then if you study your history, where the stuff's going. It's like, people get, you know, like one of the things, like obviously they're having this big meltdown over the Acolyte getting canceled, right? Like all these wokies, you know, there's Inverse writing all these articles. They're blaming all of the toxic fandom and that Disney Star Wars is just catering to the toxic fan base. And, you know, every little possible meltdown that they could ever possibly have.
Can a fan base be toxic if it's imaginary?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, really?
Right. And none of them are wanting to put in the work to actually make something of quality, and then they get mad when it's gone. Because guess what? The majority of people out there still want quality storytelling, no matter what your agenda, no matter who you put in, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. They want to blame it on racism, and they wanted to get mad at us because as soon as we saw all the marketing and all the push, oh, look at all the diversity, look at all the representation. Oh, it's the gayest Star Wars ever. We all went, fuck, this is going to be bad. This is going to be woke. This is going to be a disaster. It's going to be a dumpster fire. It's going to be trash. And they want to get mad at us for saying that without ever seeing an episode of the show. Well, you know why we can say that? Because it's called a red flag for a reason. Because historically, every time you have done this, it has turned out to be the exact same thing. And that because we study our history, and this isn't ancient history from Rome or the biblical days. Okay. This is 2 years ago that we watched this shit happen, you know, and we see the consequences of their actions. And there's only been like one example in the last few years that we can give of the marketing being woke, and it turns out the story was actually good. And that's the Dungeons and Dragons one. I still haven't seen it, but a lot of people I respect watched it and said the marketing was complete BS. It wasn't woke at all, you know, but that's how they marketed it. So guess what? Nobody fucking went and saw it, and the movie ended up losing a bunch of money. Because of every other time that they have marketed things just like this, we as a culture have evolved and learned that when you say this kind of shit, we're not going to just tune in. We're not just going to tune in because, oh, well, they're just saying that. No, they're not just saying that, because now we know what comes when they just say that. You know, we actually listen.
There are certain people that like red flags. So. By the way.
That's exactly they are. They are called communists. And it's communists running the asylum over there at Disney. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, like on some level, I understand why artists become communists. There's just less work involved. Like at the end of the day, like, so I've told you, like, I'm an introvert. I need somebody to help me with my marketing. I'm not really good at like putting myself out there. Like I have a life, kind of like kids and family and stuff to do, and stuff to like worry about. And like one of the things that I really hate about people younger than me is that they get online and they're like, I had such a bad day, and they cry out and stuff. And it's like, don't let people see your meltdowns. You're only losing dignity. You know, if being relatable means that you lose all your dignity, why would you want to be relatable?
Right.
You know,
fucking Kevin Smith crying, you know, filming himself, taking pictures of him fucking crying in movie theaters and shit like that. It's like, you're a bitch. That's all it makes you look like is a bit. Oh, I'm going to get emotional. I'm going to cry. I'm going to show my emotions. I was a man. Well, you will make fun of me for that. By all means, go ahead. Okay, cool. We will. And that's why we all think of, well, that's one of the many reasons why we all think you're a fucking joke now. You know, and we make fun of you, and we use your picture of you crying in fucking thumbnails.
Well, the other side of that too is like at a certain point as an artist, and I pray every day that I'll never end up like this, but like there's a certain point where you've done your best work. You know, George R. Martin has likely done his best work, and what do you coast on? You know, and you know, I think of like Dan Brown, because like in the early 2000s, he had the Da Vinci Code, and he was very, very famous, and people loved the work. People thought it was great. He got movie deals out of it. And then like in his like latest book, he was quoting Frozen.
Oh my God.
And I mean, like people, if it's that blatant, people are going to see, you know, and you're trying too hard to be hip and trendy, and it's just not going to last, you know? And I mean, like, there's a certain point where artists, like I said, as communists, like it makes sense because they can't lose anything. I mean, like they think they get to a certain level and they get to stay there at least. And I mean, like after that, it's just kind of like martyrism, martyrdom.
Yeah.
Where you're kept around for the sake of this one thing that you've written. And that's it.
Well, I mean,
And
you essentially become the court jester at that point.
yeah, well, I mean, and that's kind of you kind of see that trajectory in George R. R. Martin, and how it's going to be really hard for him to pull off any kind of comeback out of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's getting paid a lot of money, so I don't even think he's properly incentivized to do it.
No, no. And that's the other problem too, is that's what you see. I think you probably see that kind of relatively often too, is you see those people become successful and then they get lazy because that thirst is gone, right? That hunger for all that success is gone because now you have it. And then it's like, yeah, it's like, where do you go from there? They're coasting on their laurels at this point. And it's like, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? It's not gonna work. And that's the other thing too, is it's trying to stay, if you're chasing, outside of being a YouTuber, if you're trying to trace trends and what's popular in the algorithm at the time, you're never going to be a good storyteller because good stories are timeless. They're classic. They relate, why is the Da Vinci Code so good? Because it tells a good story of good versus evil. And, and you've got a lot of great intrigue, you could set that.
For that one, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, but like but you could take that story and place it in almost any time zone, right? In almost any era throughout his human culture, and that same murder mystery story would still work because those story elements of it are timeless. And if you're trying to be trendy and trace things with Frozen in it, like that, you're not going to hold up to the test of time. You're not going to last forever trying to do stuff like that.
It will age poorly.
Yeah. Yeah, it will age. It will age very, very poorly.
The more that you rely on like trends to make or break your show, the more it will age, and the more horribly it will age too. So,
yeah, Night Madhouse. Yeah, yeah, and that's very true. Yes, he will. Yeah, he's another one of our disabled vets. So he's always got lots of stuff going on too. So hopefully they can figure some stuff out.
I will say too, like good storytelling understands that like there are things that are timeless and timely, and it's your job as an artist with words or pictures or whatever to put those two things together in a way that makes them profound. Too often today, people are keen on making them profane, I think, and that's just the other side of things that I just don't like.
Right? Yeah, everybody wants to be an edgelord. Right. And, and it's like everybody wants to be the anti-hero and nobody wants to be the actual hero anymore. And you get like one of the examples I always like to give, especially when it comes to quote unquote art, was like the piss crucifix thing. Mm-hmm. That was like, I went to Washington, D.C. while that was on display at one of our, one of the government, one of the freaking art galleries that the government fucking pays for. This thing was on fucking display. And it's like, all you did was go buy a crucifix from fucking Hobby Lobby, turn it upside down and run I don't even know if it was actual piss or not. It probably was, but literally run a fountain of urine over it. That's not fucking art. That's a mechanical system. You're a mechanic you're an engineer is what you did. And you wanted to be fucking edgy. Like that's not fucking, there's that doesn't inspire anything other than disgust. And you did it just to be fucking edgy for the sake of being edgy. Where's the idea of making something that's inspirational? The fucking, the rest in peace, but the Notre Dame Cathedral, that's inspirational. The domes that I'm having a brain fart now, the one with the fingers coming together on top of chapel. Yeah, the Sistine Chapel, right? Like you go see that's inspirational. That inspires you to be something bigger and greater and looking to amazing and epic things. And what's a piss crucifix do? Oh, you pissed cool. You made a bunch of Christians angry. Congratulations. You've been doing the same thing that the devil's been doing for fucking going all the way back to eternity. Congratulations.
The funny thing is about that too, is that the artist is Catholic. So
of course it is.
I'll be the first to say that like it's really nice sometimes to go through the Bible and honestly realize just that we are sinners and we are dirty and our souls are just these awful things, and they're full of unpleasant realities. But it's another thing entirely to be like, I don't know, kind of proud about it.
Right.
There
Yeah.
is like, when people talk about like free speech and cancel culture stuff, like a lot of people forget that religious people have blasphemy laws, you know, in their own ways. Like even saying like Jesus Christ as an insult, that's actually not like, I mean, it's free speech in a way, but it's also like against the third commandment. And it's like,
Right.
there are limits to things. And I mean, like, and I'm not talking about hate speech because I think that's stupid. But I'm talking about like, there are things that you should just not say, and there are things that you should just not do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. And there's things that are just, they're absolute heresy, you know, they're heretical. And that's the reason why that, you know, I like Warhammer 40K. And so like, it's fun for me to go, hey, it's heresy. I love it. Cause I'm like, I do a Bible study. So I was like, it's heresy. Yes. You know, they're burn the heretics. You know, like I'm kind of on board. You know, it's like people be like, oh, you're a Christian. Aren't you supposed to be like nice? I'm like, the aspect of Christ that I relate to the most is the one where he goes into his father's house and starts flipping tables and whipping money changers. Okay. Like I'm kind of like, I'm on board with that as I'm kind of feel like we're at that point right now. Like we need to run around and be flipping tables and like whipping money changers. Like, because it's just that just the blatant disrespect for everything our father has given us is just
and I
mind boggling.
I wrote a novel series about this idea, this concept, because of like, the big push at the time was like the main conservative value should be liberty. Okay. And liberty is the freedom to do what we ought to do. And I agree with that. But if you're going to remain in freedom and if you're going to be remain in Christ, is like you have to choose to stay in Christ, and you have to make choices that will keep you free. Like you can't be an addict if you're going to be like drug free.
Right.
You know, and this like this bothers some people, that because it's not the freedom of choice anymore, it's the freedom of that comes with responsibility, you know. Yeah.
Well, and like our founding fathers even talked about, you know, our governmental system was the governmental system that we built, and the one that they've severely fucking corrupted, just like they've corrupted everything else, was meant for a moral and righteous people because of the freedoms that it did allow us.
Right.
And if you lose that morality, then you see where that goes, because, you know, it's like, well, it's, you know, the whole like, oh, well, you know, as long as they do, you know, they do what they do over there, as long as it doesn't, you know, come over here and affect me, you know, we should just you know, get along to get along, let you know, let them do what they want as long as they're not affecting us. Except here's the problem. Just like in the Old Testament, and just like nowadays, when you allow that stuff to fester, when you allow it to take over a state like California, you know, you've literally watched probably the most prosperous, financially successful, and just gorgeous, and just filled with some of the most abundant natural resources on the planet. And you've seen what they've done to it by allowing immorality to rule the world, by allowing, you know, oh, we can go around to everyone. Well, now they're, you know, they've got open drug dens all over, you know, in Los Angeles and San Francisco, and people are shitting on the streets and walking around naked. And there's naked bicycle riding in fucking Seattle, right past kids and schools and all the rest of this shit. And you're like, oh yeah, okay. Remember that whole get along to get along thing? Yeah. How's that working out for us now? You know, how's that tolerance going for everybody? Because you can't tolerate evil in your society and expect it not to corrupt you.
Yes. And then the secondary discussion around that is like whether there is such thing as good and evil. And I really hate those, because like I said, I grew up in the 90s, and that was the big thing, is like, oh, there's not really evil. It's just, I don't know. It's just different. It's from a different perspective. And today, like, so I live in Georgia, and there's a shooting in Appalachia over in Barrow County. It's not too far away from me. And I just want to ask all those people back then, is like, oh, there's really nothing like evil ever, you know, really? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Must be a good day to be a moral absolute. Well, it's a bad day to be a moral relativist. There you go.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too. It's like, you're trying to tell me Epstein and what he did, that isn't evil. You know what I mean? You're trying to tell me that all of this stuff that all of these people that we know have done, you're telling me that's not evil, right? You're trying to tell me, wow, it's, you know, you got to come. No, Okay, wood chipper go Bert. Maps belong on the wall. You know, it's like that. Like there are things in the world that are evil. Like we were talking about earlier, human trafficking. If you can't agree that human trafficking is evil and a problem, then your morality is so far off kilter. You couldn't find yourself out of a wet, but you couldn't find your way out of a wet paper bag if you had to use it as a direction. You know, your moral compass is fucking broke as shit. You know what I mean? If your politics and your side matter more than actually calling out straight evil, well, you're a lost soul. You're a lost soul.
That's the end goal of propaganda, for what it's worth. But you know, it's not really good to be a puppet. I mean, you're not free anyway. So
yeah,
clearly,
somebody's
my big question to like stop this is like, okay, well, tell me when it's okay to grape a woman then, okay? So
yeah, like, and that's always, and it's funny because like people talk about like, like there was a joke that a guy that I watched made one time. He's like, at this point, with the way California is getting, I'm starting to think God might need to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah, allowing California to stand. But that's when it's like, and he was being flippant and kind of making a joke about it. But it's one of those things. It's like that's the case. It's like when you actually read the book, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, there were literal roving bands of rapists running around Sodom and Gomorrah, and it was allowed. You know what I mean? And it's like that's what happens when you're one step away from that in California at this point. You know what I mean? You really are one step away from that because you've got roving bands of vagrants and vandals that just get to do whatever they want and get away with it. And honestly, to a certain degree, the whole rape thing's going on too, because think about with all these illegal immigrants. We've heard story after story of this stuff going on and them getting released and all of this other shit. And well, we're a sanctuary city, so we can't hold them. And it's like, okay, like. Yeah. Okay, but you're never gonna you're just never gonna see the evil of what you're doing. You're just never going to,
Yes, and the other side of this is like the rapists a lot of times are enabled because of abortion laws.
Right.
They don't actually face any responsibility or anything like that. And yeah, I did a lot of research for Dizchord to try to know where I was going with it, basically, and. Yeah. I have a note in the beginning of the book that says I didn't kill myself. I researched really well, and it's terrifying to think, oh, they're probably actually doing this. So
yeah.
So yeah. I mean, that's the worst part about liking. I really love absurdity and satire and stuff, And the sad thing is either they're doing it already or they're gonna read this and then they're like, oh, we should do that. Yeah. And it's just like 1984. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that was supposed to be a warning, not an instruction manual. Yeah. It's like this. They were the art was it's like I like that quote from V for Vendetta. An artist uses lies to tell the truth. And it's not necessarily lies, it's fiction, right? So technically it's a lie. It's not technically true, right? But it's a fiction story. They use stories to tell you the truths of the world. And it's like that they were. He was trying to tell you this is where this shit leads. This is how this goes if this stuff continues, and it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, no, that's exactly what we want. We want thought speak and, and cancel culture and, new dictionaries with new definition of words. And, and it's so funny. It's like, for all the hate Nickelback gets, okay, for one, a lot more of you fuckers liked it than what you're actually willing to admit, because otherwise those albums wouldn't have sold so well. But but I liked the Dark Horse album. I thought the Dark Horse album was fucking great from beginning to end. It was a rock. I listened to it several times doing 6-hour drives over and over again. And it's one of those things. There's a line in there that talks about celebrities, and he's talking about the celebrities who they get the latest dictionary and a list of today's who's who. And that's, you can't get a more accurate description of it, because that's what it is. We talk about them being NPCs, and they just take, they're taking all of their information from the cult. And that's exactly what it is. They have a new dictionary with new definitions on new crazy ass words or old words that have, like the they them thing. Okay. Well, they them refers to a plural. Well, no, it's actually a singular person. And it's like, that's exactly what they're doing. It's the latest download, that even though it makes absolutely no sense. And it's just propaganda they spew out.
Yeah, and the other, I see you've gotten some comments about Nickelback.
Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. Yeah, see, exactly. Damn it, Common. Why'd you go there? Exactly. It's like, yeah, Nickelback is a guilty pleasure along with Elia. See, there you go. See,
I honestly think
exactly.
the only thing I really know about Nickelback off the top of my head is that look at this photograph one. Because
Yeah. Oh, that was and that was what got them a lot of their like that, because that was the one that like set them on, put them on the stage. You know, it's kind of cheesy. You know what I mean? It's very of its time in like that 2000s era and stuff, late 90s, early 2000s era. But yeah, you know, yeah, and so that's why everyone's like, it's like, yeah, but all the rest of y'all, you know, like Burn It Down. Everybody fucking loved Burn It Down. You know, so it's like, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, and there's a difference between like real stories and true stories in a way, because like
Right.
Jesus used parables all the time about like even the seer or the sower and the seeds. You know, are you in the good soil? And he did this in a way because people could understand what he was talking about, even if they didn't have the right like, even if it wasn't like a true story. It was a true story, even if it wasn't a real story. And like, I think of like I think Santa Claus is like a real myth on some level, because like it's based on this old saint who would go around and give children presents at Christmas to kind of illustrate that Jesus was this great gift, and that's how you kind of started the gift giving at Christmas.
Yeah, well, and what's really cool is if the true story about Saint Nicholas, like Saint Nicholas is a badass. Okay, like dude straight up like decked a guy in front of the Roman emperor because he spoke heresy at the Council of Nicaea. Like, and like at that time, if you struck someone in front of the emperor, that's a death sentence because you did it without the emperor's permission. And like he just straight up like gets up out of his chair and like walks across the room and just slugs this motherfucker because he was like trying to say that that like Jesus wasn't the son of God and that he wasn't like God, you know, like the divinity. He was trying to deny Christ's divinity. And like, yeah, Saint Nicholas was like, oh yeah, no, that's no, sir. No, sir.
Yes.
So yeah, I love the true story of Saint Nicholas.
Yes. So like when people talk about him at like at Christmas, like with the reindeer and stuff, I kind of just laugh. But I've taught my kids like, so it's a cute little story and it talks about, this is what it's talking about. People have kind of added in different elements and stuff. But I mean, he was a real person and he did really good things for God. Yeah. You know, that's kind of like, in many ways, like I think it's a really good, I think it's a good indicator of what we've lost as Western culture too. And so we've had to make these more fantastical stories when it's like the real person is so much better. Right.
Just tell, but see, and that's the problem is they've tried that, you know, and you know, it was the tagline for a long time, you know, put Christ back in Christmas, because that's what they've tried to do slowly over time, is turn it into nothing more than a holiday that's about consumerism and buying and gifts and all this other stuff. And they take away, they remove the heart of the story and why all of that is such a kind thing, and where that foundation and the reasons behind why, especially in the case of St. Nicholas, why he was doing it and stuff like that. So we got to put it all. It's like I said, it sounds cheesy to say, but put Christ back in Christmas, but it's just putting God back in his proper place in our culture overall. Yes. And that's what they've tried to do. They have done their best to try to kill and remove God from our culture. And it didn't work, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 years ago with our ancestors, the Israelites. It ain't gonna fucking work now, so.
Yeah. Well, they've done a very good job. I think, I was reading an article about how like they, after World War II and World War I, people stopped talking as much about the soul, and it became like the world became more heavily materialistic because like death had been so prevalent. So
yeah, and I mean that
rebuilding a society from the ashes, and especially with ashes containing like loved ones, it was too hard for them. Yeah. So it was too hard to go on.
Well, and it's the funny part is they abandoned God when they needed him the most. Yeah. And that's kind of, I mean, I guess that's almost kind of sums up our culture in a nutshell, really.
Yes, well, anybody who buys Dizchord 2 will help maybe stem some of that rot. I don't know.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you on that one, 100%. But you know what? It's starting to get a little late, boys and girls. I think it's time to do some memes. Let's laugh. Let's laugh as we've continued to watch the entire world burn down. So, ladies and gentlemen, guard your ears, because welcome to the Legion of Memers. I love that fucking intro. Yeah, just No Green Rocks did such a good job on that. That is so fucking great. So yeah. But yes, let's laugh at a few things. This is the classic. This one's been around for a long time. Green curry, red curry, Tim Curry. I love how Tim Curry is the more expensive one too. That's my favorite part.
Yes, it's very fitting.
Yes, it is. The absolute legend. Tim Curry. He's getting back into voice acting now too. Even after his like strokes and everything else, he's doing some voice acting. You know?
That's really nice to hear. I like Clue is actually one of my favorite movies. Oh yeah. So
yeah, Clue is one of my favorites too. I've watched it so many times, and it's funny because in high school, one of the guys in my theater department's dad actually got a hold of and was able to write the play version of Clue. And so we were one of the early ones to actually do it and it was this little podunk, fucking in the country town, my graduating class was 100 fucking people, but we still had a blast putting it on. And it was funny because my son in high school, he's getting into theater department as well. Big shocker there. His mom and I were both big thespians, and he actually did the exact same. He played in Clue as well in the show in his theater production play. And we went and got to see it. And it was so funny because it was like, yeah, I think he played one of my saying, because I ended up playing two characters for a little while because of some stuff that happened when I was in high school, but he actually ended up playing one of the characters that I originally played as well. And
was it Wordsworth or Mr. Body? He ended up getting to do Body, or not Mr. Body. He ended up getting to do Wegsworth for a little while. But I think was it shit. Yeah, I think it was. He ended up getting to do that. It was pretty entertaining. It was great to see him out there. Yes, communism is just a red herring.
Yes, exactly. Yes, well, and that's the worst part. Like, they changed some of the things in it. They've updated it for a modern audience, and it irritated me because, like, the gay, like him being a closet homosexual, was taken out, and he was secretly a Republican. Is what it was. That was his big secret. So yeah, some of it got updated for a modern audience.
Yeah.
Name something in a dungeon that can burn for an hour. Family of goblins. Well, you're not wrong. And the Steve Harvey face. I fucking love that. Oh, I love Steve Harvey.
I wish game shows would make a comeback. So.
Right? There's a couple of them now. Pluto's got a TV channel that's nothing but game shows on it.
You know what? My dad told me that when I said that's in.
That's funny. Well, yeah, because we found Pluto because my wife loves like the CSI shows and stuff like that. And so they've got like 3 or 4 channels just dedicated to like CSI, the one in Vegas, and then of course Miami, and then you've got NCIS. And so yeah, so she's like, that's like, she's got the app on her phone. Like she watches it. Like if I'm watching YouTube, she's watching it on her phone, so yeah. She loves it.
It's one of the best things about mysteries, for what it's worth, is like you can always figure out how to kill someone. So.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think that's the reason why those shows last so long. They're good procedural shows that they're nothing to write home about, but they're good and they're fun and they're entertaining. And I think RK Outpost brought this up, or somebody did. There's a lot of that lacking nowadays. We don't just have a bunch of just good, solid shows that are, 18, 20, 24 episode seasons like we had with that stuff, because everybody wants to write some fucking epic and tell one story over 9 episodes or 8 episodes or 6 episodes instead of telling a procedural story with a little bit of overarching story arc, like, I don't know, we've always done in television for time immemorial, so yeah.
Well, I let my kids watch Gilligan's Island because that's on
There you
TV, and they loved Gilligan's Island. So
Dude, that's
we went to Europe this year on a cruise, and like half the time when they were bored, they were singing the Gilligan's Island theme song, and I'm sitting there, I'm just so proud because it's like my kids have culture.
yes, they do. God, that is great.
So
That
it was
is
such
great.
a wholesome show too. Like I was surprised at how much like there's nothing really inappropriate in it, and I mean, there's definitely some like adult dish level, but it's nothing really like scandalous,
Right. It's the more, you mean it's the more subtle ways of doing that stuff, like what we knew how to use instead of just beating people over the head with it?
Well, I'll give an example that's modernish. So I saw the Garfield movie with my kids because Garfield, I have like a huge collection of Garfield comics.
Nice.
I taught the kids how to read largely through Garfield comics and riddle and joke books, because if you can read them, you can say them and stuff. So my kids have learned to read from a really young age just by using those things. But Garfield comics are like I said, they're very safe. They're funny. It's a cat who's fat and lazy. That's funny.
Right.
And they have a couple of jokes in the new movie that are like very adult. Like he's joking about like like John has his phone and stuff, and like the one lady's joking about how he should be on dating apps like Tinder and stuff. And I'm like,
Right.
I catch that because I'm an adult and I know what she's talking about. But my kids are kids and they're not going to catch that because my kids don't get on the internet without my say so.
Right.
And, in 20 years, when Tinder goes broke and bankrupt because they're trying to appeal to an audience that's not there anymore, where they get sued into oblivion for, Epstein 2.0.
Right. Well, and the joke's going to fall flat and nobody's ever going to care.
It dates it. It definitely dates it. So they would have been better to focus on other things. So
yeah, very true. Very, very true. Yeah. Why is your password Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? I was told it needed to be at least 8 characters. Love it. Condom history. What?
I was gonna say we didn't even talk about Snow White that much, but that's okay.
No. I mean, it's gonna be hot garbage. It's gonna be bad.
I will say I have a Snow White retelling for anybody who likes to read. It's called Northern Lights, Southern Stars, and it's about a black Snow White because it's again one of those things that I got dared into writing. So.
Hell yeah. Oh, and then it's so funny about that whole thing with like the whole race swap and gender swap thing and all that kind of stuff. It's like nobody gave 2 shits that Brandy was Cinderella in the 90s. You know what I mean? Nobody gave 2 shits. I loved that movie. I had like Queen Latifah in it and like all this other kind of shit. And it was like, and it's like, you know why nobody gave a shit? Because it wasn't marketed as the first black Cinderella. It was marketed as Brandy in Cinderella. And apparently those movies have sparked an entire universe. I had no fucking idea. Like there's like all these like teenage versions of like about her daughters and like all this other, I had no idea, but apparently it sparked the whole fucking universe. Yep. But you know why nobody gave a shit? Because it wasn't marketed as that. It wasn't done that. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to make Cinderella for a modern audience. No, it was Queen Latifah and Brandy are badass fucking singers and Queen Latifah's funny. And it's going to be funny to see her as the fairy godmother and everybody's going to love this shit. And that's all it was, and now it's completely and totally the other way around now.
The fairy godmother has to be an activist.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or surprisingly look a lot like a man, i.e. the Pinocchio version. That was weird. Condom history. In 1272, Arabic Muslims invented the condom using a goat's lower intestine. In 1873, the British somewhat refined that idea by taking it out of the goat first. I love that one.
I know. I honestly can't see, the Middle East being that responsible.
Right. Fair enough. Venus discovered in 1610. Uranus discovered in 1781. Antarctica discovered in 1820. Like, what the fuck? Oh, that is fucking correct. Yeah, good point. Good point.
My sister, I will say this though, like my favorite thing about this is like my sister got married recently and I knew I would like my new brother-in-law because he came and met us one day for lunch and he was wearing a shirt that said like RIP Pluto.
Oh yes, yes. Rest in peace, Pluto. Yep.
Yep. I was like, I'm gonna like you.
There you go. No, that is if you if you're making jokes like that wearing a t-shirt, I love it. I love it. That is great. HEI Joe. HEI Joe, a real Eternian hero. Remember, kids, if you smoke the devil's lettuce while playing D&D, you'll always roll high. Knowing is half the battle. Oh, that's horrible. Before 1930, Americans had direct veto power against the government. For the government to borrow any money, it had to go to the people. No central banks. They had to sell bonds. People that didn't want it, they wouldn't buy the bonds. A simple system that gave the people the power, stopping the government from printing unlimited money and making you pay for it. Think about it. If they just print money, why do we pay taxes?
So we don't go to jail.
Right? Yeah, no shit. Exactly.
I've been calling it pizu for a while, which is the Italian word for like, what is it? It's like protection money.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
I pay you money so you leave me alone.
That's exactly what. That's why one of my favorite like Far Side comics, and I don't even know if it was actually Far Side, but it was done in that same style. And it's the son. The son comes to the dad, and he goes, "Dad, I think I know what I want to do when I grow up." He's like, "What's that, son?" He's like, "I want to be in organized crime." And the dad goes, "Private sector or public?" Yeah. It's exactly what it is.
I mean, like the whole postmodernist movement is like, if you don't take it too seriously, it's actually quite funny because you can literally see things like that and understand like there's a good and moral reason for certain things, you know. But yes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Silly putty implies the existence of serious putty. I believe that's called C4. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. 3.415. After you, a decision Sharon came to regret.
So Sharon became a murderer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. She would have had to, because Sharon would have been stuck there fucking forever. I love it. Oh. Alien vessel. This is Captain Ash of the Starship S-Mart. If you screwheads don't stand down, I will press the thingy and blast you back into being canned goods.
See, I think Bruce Campbell would be great in Star Trek.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What they're really doing. Right. They're currently like just finished. So
dude, a wet paper bag is an improvement over Kurtzman Trek. Yeah, but yeah, oh yeah, Bruce Campbell in Star Trek, that would be. I'm surprised he didn't make like a guest appearance on like Next Generation or Voyager or Deep Space Nine at some point. That kind of surprises me. J.R. Tolkien's books, Peter Jackson's movies, whatever the fuck Amazon made.
I think the horse space thing is too good.
It's too good for what Rings of Power had done, and it's also a horse that Guy Ladrill would gladly ride and enjoy way too much. Rest in peace, the horses of Rings of Power. How many guns should a normal person have? About 5. That sounds like a gun enthusiast to me. No, a gun enthusiast has 15. That sounds like someone obsessed with guns. No, people obsessed with guns have hundreds. That sounds like a psycho. No, psychos seldom own guns or just get 1 or 2. That sounds like a normal person, though. No, a normal person has about 5. We already covered that. Free water, half a mile. Gun range, 50 miles. Oh. No, I love it. A is for ambush. Remember, kids, ambush is just another way of saying premeditated murder. Okay. I
will say, like, so I thought of I do have a children's book that I've written, so I'm trying to get my my artist to give me all the pages.
Oh, nice.
But it's called If Sin Was Dog Poo, and so I kind of like this kind of take on children's books in some ways. It'll play to my audience.
I'm down. That sounds great. I'm always looking for new good children's books for my kids.
Well, sometimes it's hard to explain to kids that, like, you know, if you can't see it, it's not real. And it's like, you know, if you lie, it's like being covered in imaginary dog poop and Jesus has to take it away. So I actually think it was funny because I saw the other week that Mark Miller, the artist one, he's thinking of a similar book. Yeah, he's starting a similar book, and I felt like saying, oh man, you know, I did not copy you. I've had the script since February. So what does this one say? Daughter, I want a dinosaur, but it's impossible. then let me have a boyfriend. And dad goes get the dinosaur. To be fair, I think mom would say the same thing. Like, yeah. I think I'll say this. It's important, I think, to talk about your children, about like how you find a wife or a husband, because so many people today seem confused as to how to do it. And so it's not like a taboo thing, like we have at our house, but I tell my son, like, oh, when you get married one day, you're going to have to be able to do this, this, and this for her. And this is usually my justification for making him like fix things that I don't know how to fix, but his dad knows how to fix. And I'm like, here, your daddy can fix this for me, but he's at work. So you get to go do this now. And for my daughter, it's just like, hey, you're going to have so many nice boys to choose from. Here's how you like pick the good one. So I don't really think it's, I really hate people sometimes when they say that like life is not a fairy tale, because I think fairy tale truths are some of the most like potent universal truths that you can ever have, you know, especially outside the Bible. But this idea that like you're not going to like marry a beast, but like this, like you're going to marry someone who's like a little bit more rough around the edges, and your love will help smooth that out. That's a very applicable life lesson. So I was talking about, the dinosaur thing. I think it's funny. So.
Yeah, no, and but no, that's a good point. That the Beauty and the Beast is a great life lesson for little girls. You know, it actually really is. I love that idea. That's a great, yeah. I don't know why I never thought about it like that. I guess because I'm a dude. But that's actually a really good point. That's because we are the beast. That's why I relate to the beast. I thought like, I just want to be left alone. Dude, trust me, I totally get that. Like, I totally relate. It's like, I'm out here in my garage, just like, leave me alone. You know, I totally get it.
Well, I think like Aladdin is a really good fairy tale for boys, because it's like you shouldn't use your wishes, imprudently.
Yeah, for selfish or stupid reasons. Yeah, I love it.
And you should recognize too, like even if you're doing it for like altruistic reasons, you should recognize that like there's a downside sometimes.
Yeah, altruism is a very good path. Is a prime example of the path to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah,
you know, and that's like for all you can say. And I know people have complaints about like Ayn Rand and Atlas Shrugged and stuff like that. I love that fucking book. But that's one of the things is you see the evils of altruism truly realized in that book. And what's so funny too is, and this is something that they left out of the movie, and I wish they would have put this part in because I think it really drives the point home. When one of the characters in the books finds out that her husband only married her because of like altruism, because he was like he liked the idea of doting on the dumb little shopkeeper girl, right? And it was basically he was just a status symbol to her, to like, oh, look at me bringing up the poor, She literally, once it finally completely clicked in her head, she lost her mind and literally ran and jumped off the end of a pier and drowned herself. You know, and it's like, woo, but like it broke her brain because she was in love with him. She was trying to better herself, to be a better woman, and to be smarter and be more educated and like all this other kind of shit. And it just ended up irritating him because she was no longer she was trying to be a good wife to him, and he just wanted the dumb shopkeeper girl. And it was fucked. It was fucked. But yeah, I love that. I want a dinosaur. It's impossible. Then let me have a boyfriend. Dad. Yep. Getting you a T-Rex.
I would say no. See, the boyfriend will bring you the dinosaur. So.
There you go.
It's the boyfriend's job to.
I completely agree with that. Absolute hunter. Go out there and bring me home a dinosaur. Hell yeah.
If you want to date my daughter, that's what you gotta do.
Yeah, gotta bring home a dinosaur. Someone asked me if I had plans for the fall. It took me a moment to realize they meant autumn, not the collapse of civilization.
Oh, you know, it's funny. I'm actually wearing that meme on my shirt. So.
Oh, it is him. Oh, hell yeah. I noticed a cat on you. I didn't realize it was him. Oh, yeah. That is cool.
Oh, well, one of my best friends bought this for me. She's like, I saw this and I immediately thought of you. So you needed it.
That's good. That cat is one of Diesel's favorite. That's like Diesel's favorite meme because of that freaking cat. He just loves it. Looks like chemtrails are real. Yeah, been trying to tell you that for years. You couldn't have known. They just announced it on TV.
This thing frustrates me because I'm dealing with some of that with certain people in my family.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah, it's how long was he a conspiracy? How long was it a conspiracy theory? About 6 to 8 months before all the newspapers started telling everybody that was the truth after all. Weird concept. I don't know. It's almost like this. It's almost like this little bug that was going around a while back. Everybody said it probably came from China. It's kind of those. No, that's not. Well, really, it turns out, yeah, we fucking told y'all. But no, we were crazy. We're the conspiracy theorists. We were the ones that got banned off of social media for saying shit like that. No, well, look at that. 2 years later, CNN's admitting that ivermectin works.
Yeah. Well, there's, for the record, there's like, what is it, 56 cases in Georgia of voter fraud that have been proven. So Georgia was won by Joe Biden by like 12,000 votes. So.
Yeah. It was the most secure and fortified election in history. Boy, it was fortified quite nicely. Oh man.
The thing is like, I don't even think you should be a Republican or a Democrat. Like, you should just be somebody that values truth. And I mean, like, I get that one party is definitely better than the other, but they both are terrible.
Right. Exactly.
I don't think the libertarians are helping that much either. So.
No, because the libertarians get taken over by the woke all the fucking time.
Well, like I said, the problem with like libertarianism is the same thing with liberty. Is like, if you want to keep your liberty, you have to make choices that will keep you free. The thing about like legalizing drugs and marijuana to the point where anybody can get them is not going to keep you free for very long.
No. It's just going to enslave people to something brand new. I mean, look at and it's one of those things. It's like, and I'm of the opinion that, it's like, pull out all the safety rails and let nature take its course. You know what I mean? It's like, y'all gonna be fucking retarded. And we might as well just stop trying to protect you from yourselves. But also at the exact same time, it's like, I also don't want heroin being dealt at the local 7-Eleven either. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like, it's one of those things you got to make some decisions. There are moral and righteous reasons to do certain things. And sometimes as a society, as a because I like the idea, handle it on the lowest possible level. Your city should be making the majority, your city council, your mayor should be making the majority of the decisions that affect you on a daily basis, not your federal fucking government. You know what I mean? And so, if California wants to be fucking retarded and have open drug dens and all of that kind of shit, by all means, have at it. Don't expect me to fucking pay for it, and don't make it my problem. And that's always the problem, is these people, because they want to live like this and they don't want to have any responsibility for their actions and shit like that. That's when they ask daddy government to pay for it, and they ask daddy government to come in and look after them. And then it all becomes our fucking problem. And that's the problem with that. Yes.
And when the government takes over problems, the taxpayers have to fund it.
Yep. Exactly. Imagine, if you will, a corporate oligarchy so effective, so advanced and fine-tuned that its citizens still call it a democracy. To a certain degree. But you know what? That's the thing about it, though, is we still have our freedom because, CJ, you're still allowed to make comic books talking about whatever the hell you want. Yep. You know what I mean? You can still find it. That's the best part about the free market system, that no matter how much they've tried to corrupt our system and make it to where you can only do things a certain way, technology has once again set us free and proven that fuck you, yes, we can do it our damn selves. Because if that were the case, you'd be doing if that was the case, no one would ever be able to make a comic outside of DC, Marvel, and some of these other ones. And that's not the case anymore. They don't own. We've given the communists everything they actually wanted. You no longer control. Everybody now controls the manufacturing process, not just the big corporations. And we have officially given the communists what they wanted. You now control the manufacturing process. And still they scream about it. Fucking
well, I do think like there are just some problems that are never going to be solved because money will dry up after that. Like, I mean, like one of the things about feminism, like in the movement in general, is that it keeps morphing because if they don't get the money, I mean, if there's not a problem, because I mean, like women have been, like, we've had equal rights since like the 60s, 1963, look it up. And we've had equal rights. And yes, stuff takes time to change culturally, not like legalistically, okay? But this idea that we're held to the same standard and we have the same rights as as men in society, in American society anyway. You know, that's been true since the 60s. But if they admit that, like all the fundraising stuff kind of like dries up, and if it's problem solved, its finances are insolvent at that point.
Yep. Well, and that's the problem with any of these activist organizations. It's like you said, as a writer, right? You have an end goal in mind, right? And when it's done, the story's done. And you know, if you find a new story to tell with those same characters, that's one thing. But but the problem with activism is, yeah, that's exactly right. They have no desire to solve the problem, right? I'll tell you right now, there is a big section. There's a significant section of the pro-life movement that fucking hated the day that Roe v. Wade was overturned, because now you can't just sit around and do national fundraising and go, we're fighting this at the federal government. No, now you have to go and fight it at the state level. And guess what? That doesn't pull in the big bucks like the federal stuff does, because it's about the money. It's not necessarily about actually accomplishing the goal. Because guess what? If that were the case, you know what I mean? Like you said, all the women's rights organizations, all that stuff, they'd be packing it up. They'd all be closing their doors and shutting things down, but they have to find a new beast to slay. It's just like the race hustlers, you know, just like Jesse Jackson and all of those guys. It's the same kind of folks that have to find a problem, because if they don't have a problem, because they're professional activists, and you're no longer a professional activist if you accomplish your goal. You know, now what do you do? And What's up, Jim?
I mean, like, it's one of the things I like about Batman is that it is that question of like, how do you exist as a human in a world that makes you more inhumane as you go? And it's like, I like the idea that he is aware of that, but I like Superman just a tiny bit better because he's a little bit more hopeful, you know,
right?
All that. And being a hopeful cynic is really hard sometimes.
it really is. And it's like, Batman's the one who sees the world as it is. Superman's the one who sees the world as it can be, or as it could be. You know what I mean? And I mean, I like, have you ever read Superman for All Seasons?
I don't think that one. So
I highly recommend.
I know I have that one. I don't know if I have that one.
If you ever get a chance, I highly recommend you read it, because that will give you your most hopeful Superman. The art style is a little different. It's probably not necessarily what you're used to seeing Superman as, but the story is just, it gives you your just most hopeful, optimistic Superman, and it's absolutely glorious.
Well, for what it's worth, the writing is the like bread and butter of any comic and movie. If you have if you have cinnamon sugar on top instead of butter, it's okay too.
Right. Right. No, absolutely. And that's it. And that's the thing about it. It's like, great art will make an issue memorable. A great story makes a run memorable when it comes to comics. So you can have all the best art in the world, but if your story's shit, your story's still shit.
Yes.
So think fake news is bad. Wait until you find out about fake history and science. What? Let's see. Whoa. Oh, there it goes. What stage of the awakening are you? Blissful ignorance. What the fuck? Nothing makes sense. Oh my God, we're so fucked. Don't you see? You're all sheep. You need to wake the fuck up, or they will shake you dry for all your health and wealth. Get off my lawn. Well, waking up and becoming the most loving and joyful version of myself is the greatest rebellion. There you go. I love it.
But what if 6 is number 5?
Right. Can it be both? Can it be get off my lawn and be the most loving thing ever? Yeah, I like.
Oh, I've told people before, like, I love being an adult. Like, I love being old. I mean, like, so many, like I hated my 20s for what it's worth, but I mean, like, I'm so happy I'm old.
Oh, I love it. That's good.
I get to yell at people and I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, you do.
I've reached that point in my life where I realize that nobody cares about me to a large extent anyway. And it's like, I can just yell at these people, hey, you, get off my lawn, you know, and they're not gonna judge me.
No. And if they do, who cares? That's the best part.
I know. And if they do, I'll care.
Absolutely. The reason these toys are critical as kids.
I've had some of those toys, so I agree.
Dude, those toys are great. I've played with a lot of those as a kid. I loved it. I'd like to order one gay wedding cake. Sorry, sir. This is a Chick-fil-A. Could I interest you in some Christian chicken? What? No, stop forcing your beliefs on me. Yeah,
Eat the chicken, bigot.
that's right. Eat the chicken, bigot. Eat the chicken. That's the Lord's chicken. I love it. We have a Chick-fil-A. They were teasing us with building one over here in our neighborhood for like the longest time because they kept having a little they'd have one of their little delivery trucks go sit in one of our parking lots over here, and like you could get sandwiches and stuff from them. And then they're like, oh, well, I was like, I thought the plan was to build one over here. They're like, it is. It's just been like, that's just been the plan for like 4 years. And then all of a sudden, like last year, they built one. And yeah, dude, yeah, fucking love it.
Life-changing chicken.
It is great. It's great. I believe in God. Ha! You believe in fairy tales? Prove it. I believe I'm a woman. Yes, of course you are. Yeah.
I have to say, as a woman, I just I really hate these debates because you know, there's so many reasons.
Right. Oh yeah.
So, thank you, Mex. Mars monkey man.
Yeah. What a miserable existence indeed. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's your walking to-do list that somebody else has written out could be more depressing.
Right. You're literally a puppet with someone else running the strings. It's so badass people stand in front of shit they've destroyed. Oh, spot on. Yep. That's fair. I will not risk offending the left. The left is already offended. You would risk it or not. Boy.
I mean, and that's kind of like what it's come down to. It's really come down to some people are just always going to be offended no matter what you say. You might as well offend them by telling the truth, you know, because that's medicinal. It's like trying to give your toddler the medicine. So.
Well, and what's funny too is I used to get comments complaining, well, I hate it when people use the word woke for everything. So for a little while I laid off of it. Then I realized I was like, that's fucking stupid. This is the term we all know to call this stuff by. This is how we know. Everybody universally knows that when we say woke, everybody knows exactly what it means. Fuck off. I'm just gonna use it to fucking irritate you now. So I intentionally will put woke in things just to be like, come at me, bitch.
I will say I don't like using it all the time because they're like stuff like, and this is part of the ambiguity of language that's dangerous. Is like I think you should be very clear about what you're talking about because like I hop on the Barroom podcast sometimes, and Jacob, their society reviews, he's done like movie reviews with stuff, and he asked me to go see Magic Mike 3. I've never seen any of the Magic Mike movies. I had the kids at my parents' house for the weekend, you know, and my grandma Patty's, so it's like okay. So I went to go see it, and I even said it's not woke, it's liberal progressive though. Like, it stops with the woke stuff, like pretty much just shy of the Q and the T part of the LGBTQ stuff. So it's liberal, but it's not woke. And, they push back on it, of course, because we're having movie discussions. But it's like, you know, you can talk about it, and I think that's part of the reason that, like, you should define it as to what kind of woke it is.
Yeah. No, and that's a good point too. And it's one of those things. It's like, and that's why, like in the videos and stuff like that, we talk about, you know, and just on the live streams, everything else. It's like you talk about that. It's like, yes, this is what we mean by woke. In case you're here for the first time and you don't get this, this is what we mean by woke. And it's not. It's like, yeah, and that's what I said. That's why, like, I dismiss the anybody that automatically goes, well, because Discord's got a black guy, you know. No, that's not what makes something woke. And pushing an agenda intentionally over the top and forcing it in at the sacrifice of all of the storytelling, that's woke, because you can do activist storytelling and do it well. But this woke is something different. Woke is you sacrifice everything to make sure that your agenda is pushed.
Yes. So. And there's a different, I will say, like for Dizchord particularly, it's not like he has a Black Lives Matter tattoo on his forehead.
Right.
But his dad is a cop.
Flag in his background.
Yeah, his dad is a cop, and he understands that cops don't always finish the job, you know? So it's a nice kind of even kilter. Like, I'm pretty fair with things. Like, you know, I don't think that you should have bad cops, but I tell people, like, I'm pro good cop.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, and this is, you give anybody, you make a position that gives people authority over their fellow citizens, and you're going to attract bad people that just want it for the sake of the power. You know what I mean? And that's inherent in any human system, because guess what? We're human and we're all sinners and we're all flawed, and that's going to happen, which is one of the reasons why I have an issue with cops having as much authority as what they have in a lot of cases. You know what I mean?
I do think
government officials in general.
reform wouldn't hurt here and there, but I don't think some reform would be a bad thing here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I also understand, like, there are good cops too,
Oh, yeah.
I have family members that work in high risk industries, and I appreciate what they do.
Yeah, my uncle was a detective on the Lee Summit Police Department for 30 years up until he retired. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a problem with good cops. I just have a problem with bootlickers. Right. You know what I mean? And like that's where, like, COVID is where I went from. And I think I hope that actually woke up. I think I woke up a lot of people, because that went from the whole back the blue all the time thing to oh yeah, a lot of them will just be jackbooted fucking thugs and do whatever the government tells them. And I got a real fucking issue with that. You know what I mean? Because I was working at a store that the cops showed up and shut me down. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, it wasn't like they were just, and yeah, they were kind of apologetic about it and all this other bullshit. And I'm like, and they could, and this is the worst part. They knew what they were doing was wrong, because you could tell the way they were acting about it, and they fucking did it anyway. You know, and that COVID and the lockdowns was my breaking point with the whole, fucking, back the badge. No, fuck that. If they're willing to be a jackbooted thug, no, fuck off.
Yeah.
I don't care, because guess what? There's a great book. I've got it on my bookshelf in the living room, and I cannot remember what the name of it is now, but it's the story about how the Nazis turned, I think it was the Polish police force, and how they took the Polish police force and turned them into jackbooted thugs. And what it was it's a slow progression. It's asking them to do something that's a little out of their comfort zone. And then the next time pushing them a little farther and pushing them a little farther. And the next thing you know, they're throwing people on the train cars, even though they know where they're going. You know what I mean? And seeing that turn into a reality in our modern era, and seeing how many of them are willing to comply with that just off the gate. Mm-hmm. That's a path I don't want us fucking walking down in any way, shape, or form.
Yes. And I agree that is part of the risk. And the other thing too is that I've seen a real trend, and I don't know if it's just because I'm like reading stuff with my kids that's a little older, but there's such a push to keep people out of power who would do good with it.
Right.
Like, I understand, like, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. And I get that, like, there is always that temptation to use power incorrectly. But I mean, like, one of the things from the Lord of the Rings that they changed for the movie was, like, the whole thing about Aragorn not wanting the power to be king, and I don't think that if you're responsible and you can do good with what you're given, I don't think it's a bad thing to want that. My kids and I said earlier, like, we finished reading Harry Potter, so I let them watch the movies. And at the end of the movie, that this doesn't happen in the book, but Harry breaks the Elder Wand, which is like the absolute superpower wand thing. Right. And I looked like, why would you do that? I mean, like, that's not necessary to include that. He could have just put it up or put it back in Dumbledore's grave. Right. Spoilers. Yeah. So it was such a divergence from the book that it really stuck out to me. And it is something sad that, like, people don't want you to take power for yourself and do good for yourself. And even, like, they make responsibility seem like a chore as it is. But on top of that, it's like, oh, you don't want this anyway. If you're a good person, you wouldn't want this power over someone else.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's not true.
No. And yeah, there are certain people that, I mean, it's like you want somebody to be your president, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like, that's the thing. And that's the reason you want a good, moral, and righteous person to do that, because the kind of power that comes with it. And that's what you should always want. And yeah. And then the whole idea of not, if you are a good person and striving for power is somehow this evil thing. It's like, it does come down to what you do with it, which is always a dangerous, like you said, is a dangerous road to walk down. But that's why it's so important for us to have a good, just, and moral foundation for people.
We should have more role models that face that. So, and for what it's worth, I'm working on typing up Discord number 4, and he'll run into some of that. But
ooh, hell yeah!
But I mean, like it really makes me angry that it's like heroism is something that you should not aspire to, and it's like that's just not true.
Nope, not at all. Woman records a massive Q-shaped UFO hidden in clouds on a Florida beach. Who had Borg for September?
I'm pretty sure it's just military training over Mar-a-Lago. So
probably.
Yeah, we're fine.
We're good. I'm king of the jungle. I'm John Wick's dog. So sorry, Your Highness. Oh, I love it. I love that. Oh, what
when I first heard this story for John Wick, I was like, oh, so it's like Blue's Clues for adults.
Yes. That's correct. Boing, it's a backdoor stop. Oh God.
I don't get it.
You sweet summer child. So you obviously know what the little twang door stops, the ones that the little springy ones on the end. Yeah, the other end's a butt plug.
Oh.
So you give it's a backdoor stop, literally.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I get it.
No, she gets it. If breast size doesn't matter, then neither should dick size. Ninja says, gonna have to disagree. I don't care how big her titties are, but if her dong is even an inch bigger than mine, I'm out. Oh, that is great. Oh, what the fuck? Right.
Somebody was bored with their 3D printer this weekend.
Right, exactly. And now this is an actual real gun, and I love this because I've actually seen guys shoot this. There was one of the gun channels I follow on YouTube actually got a hold of one of these. The Japanese World War II soldier. I will attack the Americans with a sword that has been in my family for centuries and was made by Masamune himself. American World War II soldier. I'm gonna punch them with my fucking gun fist.
Nice. Well, I should tell my son about that. So he's big in the military history. So.
Oh yeah, he would love that. Yeah, because it's like a legit weapon. It was made. There's only like a couple of instances of these things like ever being like historically even issued to anybody. But yeah, it's kind of like it's not. It's a fun idea. Let's put it that way. It's a fun idea. And watching the guys shoot it was pretty funny because they're nervous at first. They're like, because there were so few of them made that are actually still in working condition today that he was actually, I don't even want to know how much he paid for the damn thing. But it was a lot of fun to watch him shoot it. Can I suck your dick when you're done showering? I'll get on my knees if you want. No, you ate my quesadilla. Oh, you ate my quesadilla. No. When you've had a rough day, but you're trying to stay positive, it's great. I'm great. Everything's just great. Yeah.
Oh, well. Positive thinking is, there's benefits to it maybe, but they all wear off the instant that you realize it's kind of foolish.
Yeah. It only gets you so far. Eventually you just got to go, fuck it, whatever. Playing D&D with 9-year-old comes in 2 flavors. Trying to find ways to resolve things and make the zombie our friend. 2, doing things that are recognized war crimes. I'm somewhat of a 9-year-old myself. Yeah.
The next book series that we're reading is Ender's Game. So yes, he's a 6-year-old in that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's war crimes spot on for that one. Holy cow. Yeah. So people are saying Disney is satanic. The language of birds is considered an Adamic language. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. Meaning the language originally spoken by Adam and Eve. It is further still considered Enochian, Enoch from the Bible, and the language of angels. Why is it considered a perfect divine language? What's Disney's obsession with retarded birds?
Well, when you look at it like that.
Maybe so. I don't know. But either way, shout out to the Legion of Memers. Shout out to all the guys out there collecting, and shout out to all the guys out there creating new stuff. That was
treasure trove you found Chris.
Yes. That's one of the best parts about our Discord is having the little memery in there for all of that fun stuff. Gives, like I said, gives us something to laugh about after all of the insanity going on out there in the world. And God knows we need more things to laugh about. So, all right.
A warrior ready to defend your loved ones to the death if necessary, but a happy one.
Yes, I will be laughing the entire time I slaughter my enemies. Trust me, it's going to be great. Some people think I'm a psychopath. I'm just being a happy warrior. It's good. Well, I bathe in the blood of my enemies. It's going to be great.
If your enemies are bad people, it makes sense.
That's kind of what I'm saying. So, all right, CJ, tell everybody they can find you, what they're up to, why they should go get Discord, and all those fun things, and then we're gonna wrap it up, my dear.
Should buy Discord because you love me and you want to support me and tell me to get a good job. It's not the worst way to spend $25 to $50 to $100, right?
Safer for you than heroin.
Yes, you're investing in good literature that will outlast the woke era. Honestly, it's got a great character, great storyline, good versus evil, a nice, healthy serving of humanity and romance, and there's some Cool weapons stuff in this one. So
absolutely.
Why wouldn't you buy it? That's the better question.
I completely agree with you. Here you go, Mars Monkey. There you go, buddy. There's her fun my comic right there.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mars was asking. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. It's like this is what I always say. Like we roast all of this crazy stuff and we laugh at it, we make fun of it, we want to watch it all burn down to the ground. But at the end of the day, if we're not also building culture, if we're not also showing these people off and promoting them and talking about this stuff and investing in it when you can, it's one of those things where nothing's ever going to get better. We're just going to end up with dumpster fire after dumpster fire. And then everybody's going to sit around miserable going, oh yeah, well, we really showed Kathleen Kennedy fucking Star Wars is done and toast. And we're going to sit around being like the guys that are still obsessed with their high school fucking football glory days going, you remember when we owned Disney Star Wars? Well, yeah, but how about we go check out this new comic called Dizchord and read that. And let's talk about that too. Because I do want to, it's one of those, it's fun to rant and rave about all this kind of stuff. My throat doesn't like it. My baby doesn't necessarily like it, but everybody else out there seems to really like it. And it's fun to do all that kind of stuff. But you know what else I'd like to do? I'd also like to be able to talk about positive stuff. You know what I mean? I'd like to, it's one of those, you get into this to do something and make a difference and make your voice heard and maybe see a change in the culture and stuff like that. But if you're not also fostering what comes after, you're no better than the people that are just trying to destroy all of your favorite IPs and burn it all down to the ground and laugh while they're doing it. I'll gladly laugh while Disney burns down to the ground. I have no problem with that. But I also want to have a good story to read, and tell and I have something that I can pass on to my children, and have something and have good stories that I can introduce my kids to and all of this other kind of stuff too. And if Disney isn't going to give that to us, someone else will. So if you're not out there either trying to help with that or promote that or push that or invest in that, then you're just as bad as the other side, just wanting to watch everything burn down to the fucking ground, man. It's just the absolute truth.
I will say too is pretty consistently across my work, I do try really hard to make it quality work, and I have great people that I work with. I'd really like to give them more money too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I will say I have committed to the full 5-issue run. So like I said, I got the scripts out, so I did not kill myself. But yes, but we definitely have some things that are difficult to talk about, and this is actually a pretty fun way to talk about it. So.
It is, and that's what a lot of not all entertainment has to do it, but if you want to do entertainment and do stuff like that, it's a great way to address serious topics and serious issues. That's why comedians should be able to joke about anything, and satire should be able to joke about anything, because you need something that makes it a more palatable to understand and sometimes relate to an issue. Because it's like you're doing child trafficking, right? And everybody hears the stuff on the news and the 6 o'clock news and everything else and all and the headlines and all that kind of stuff. But when you're invested in characters that make that the reality and the horrors of that come to light inside of your mind, it really will give you a different perspective on this. And that's one of the things, that's one of the good ways storytelling can be used for quote unquote activism, You know what I mean? Is to be able to do it like that and to make a real world problem relatable to people.
Well, and my big problem with the social justice stuff is that like they're making stuff that aren't problems into problems. Like, you know, you can name pretty much anything. Eventually, there's a big problem with it, and I don't think that it's wrong to point out problems though. So there's a difference between social justice and actual justice. And actual justice sometimes needs to be, you know, like you can't mix up the two.
Right. So. No, you're absolutely right.
I will say, like, my one last thing, I totally forgot to mention it.
No, you're good. By all means, go ahead.
So this series is like, I wanted, like it was like a joke, right? But it's also like, this is, I wrote this story too for like a lot of the good men in my life, you know. I can't tell you how many times like my husband has made me a better person. I have a son and I want him to grow up, and he's got a lot of teachers and he's got a lot of like people in his life that he's going to look to, and I want him to recognize a good person that will like help him and mentor him, and, you know, be there through the hard times. And so, yes, a lot of the stuff in here, some of it is like, why is this character in one panel? And that's like, that's it. It's because they're based on real people, a lot of them. So,
yep.
Oh yeah. Yep. Even the dojo where Dizchord works is based on my kid's karate place. So.
Hell yeah. I love that. Yeah, boys and girls, once again, go out there, check out CJ's stuff, because it is literally one of the best FUs you can give to the modern era out there, because she is actually writing a good, strong minority black character, and she's actually telling good storytelling, and it's not the swagger of a young black male. With bullshit like that. So yeah, no, she actually understands her subject material and is a good and can write well about it.
I live like technically live a little bit north of Atlanta, but I mean, like, I live in Atlanta. It's one of the most diverse cities here. There are people here from all over the world, and all black people and all white people are not the same. All Mexicans aren't either.
Nope, we're not. Nope, not at all. I love it, and that once again, that just shows you who the real racists are. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, you couldn't have that fucking Thor Odinson thing. Like, you could not get any more fucking just racist, stereotypical bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, You want to find a real racist? We did.
When I saw it, I was like, is this kind of like a joke? Are they like poking fun at it? Yeah. I had to ask myself that question first. No, they were dead fucking serious, man. I mean, like, all he needed to do was grab a bucket of fried chicken and some watermelon, and it couldn't have been more on the fucking nose, man. Uncle Odin went out for some cigarettes and chocolate milk.
Yeah, never came back. Good old fucking Daddy Odin. Oh my God, yeah, holy shit. All right, boys and girls, we're gonna wrap it up. I'll be live tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the morning prep. We'll be going over some news. I do have the dryer guy supposed to come and repair tomorrow, so tomorrow might be a little weird with the stream and all of that kind of stuff. We'll play it by ear, but we'll start at 11 no matter what. And if we have to end a little early and come back later, we'll do that too. So don't worry about that, boys and girls. Jacob Armadillo, good to see you, buddy. Glad you made it in tonight. I am yawning already. I am tired. I need to get done with this. So, boys and girls, shout out to CJ. Go check out Dizchord on fundmycomic.com. You help support the parallel economy, help put all of these woke weirdos and all of this corporate BS and all of these big legacy institutions in their place by going out there and supporting the parallel economy and going getting Dizchord over there on fundmycomic.com. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, CJ, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, good. We'll definitely have to have you back for number 3. And if there's anything else you ever want to talk about or a different project you've got working on, by all means, just hit me up. You are more than welcome over here anytime.
It sounds like I gotta come in on Sunday. So.
Oh yeah, there you go. What, Doctor Who or the Bible study?
Bible study.
Oh, okay, yeah, that works. Yeah. Oh yeah, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Oh yeah, if anybody you guys that are out here new, I know we actually do have some new faces in the chat that haven't been around here for all that long, especially over there like on Rumble and stuff like that. Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. As the morning prep. Wednesday nights are winding down Wednesdays. Normally it's at 6 p.m. Sometimes it's 7 p.m. Friday night, I have Clobby's Clubhouse with 32 Flavors and Nick Weiser, where we talk comics, good comics, all the good stuff that's out there and all the good old stuff that's still out there to read and go back through and look at. Sundays, 2 p.m. is the Bible study, and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time is the When Who Is Good review with Mr. Grant Gregory and our dear sweet Sunker Maidens. So definitely come check out all that out for all of you new folks out there in the chat. I appreciate all of you so very much. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up. This has been Just With the Common Nerd. I bring you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. God bless. I love y'all and enjoy the credits. See you guys tomorrow.